Chapter 913. Hearing the person's words, Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan, meaning to say, "See, I'm right, right?" Li Longji was planning to do this. He wanted to see the local officials in Hongnong and see if Li Bai and Wang Wei were serious. What else could Wang Wan say? She replied with a "You're amazing" expression. She nodded at the person and let him leave. Just as the person left, another person came in and said to the two, "Young master, young lady, there's news from the palace. His Majesty said that he sent young lady Xiaobei to Hongnong to keep an eye on Li Bai and Wang Wei. He asked the two of you not to worry." "Got it," Zhang Xiaobao said. After the person left, Zhang Xiaobao said, "This Li Longji can't deal with us, so he set his sights on Xiaobei and Wang Wei. Is this his only ambition? Why does he have to set the age of his opponents below 10 years old? He even told us not to worry. Of course I'm not worried. Xiaobei and Wang Wei have hundreds of guards, so what's there to worry about? Xiaobei has been betrayed, and he even helped others count the money. Seriously, this won't do. I have to get back at Li Longji for this matter," Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile. He could imagine how excited Xiaobei would be when he received Li Longji's secret telegram. At the same time, he prayed for Hongnong's people, hoping that they didn't have any weaknesses. If there was really a problem with the river in Hongnong, it would really be over. If they were targeted by Xiaobei and his 9 children, they wouldn't be able to get away with anything. Wang Wan also laughed at the side. When she thought of the cute appearance of Xiaobei and the others valiantly killing their way over, she couldn't help but laugh. That's good too. Xiaobei and the others are Great Tang's patrol envoys. They have the authority and duty to patrol the entire Great Tang. There's no one in Great Tang that can't be checked. They can't just enjoy the treatment, right? When did they enjoy the treatment? Even their clothes were made by us. "Dear, this shows a problem," Zhang Xiaobao said, curling his lips. "What is it?" Wang Wan asked. "This shows that it's not easy for Li Longji. It's not that easy to be the emperor. He's always suspicious of this and that, and there are very few people he can truly trust around him. Even Li Bai and Wang Wei aren't at ease with Li Longji," Zhang Xiaobao explained. "Then why did we let Xiaobei and the others go? Don't tell me you're not worried about them?" "That's right. The only people that Li Longji can trust now are people like Xiaobei. Kids are easy to win over. Just give them candy and they'll know what's good for them." Zhang Xiaobao shook his head helplessly. Wang Wan smiled again. "Then let's see how far Xiaobei and the others can go. It would be best if they could kill a few people. Would Hongnong's people dare to make a move on Xiaobei? Attack. If they attack, it won't be a problem of killing a few people. Send a telegram to Xiaobei and ask them to come back quickly. Perhaps after the imperial examinations, we will immediately return to the northeast and settle the matters there as soon as possible." Zhang Xiaobao then called someone over to send the telegram. He looked at the sky outside and said, "Takeshita Junichiro better move quickly. Otherwise, my arrangements will be easily seen through before the Jiangnan East Road people make their move." Even without Zhang Xiaobao's urging, Takeshita Junichiro was already working very hard. He assigned tasks to Yamamoto Kazumanji. On one hand, he was to buy land in Tang Dynasty. On the other hand, he was to find people to investigate the Ministry of Works. Furthermore, he was to treat people from morning to night in order to sign the lease contract for the steam engine ship and the gunship. The lanterns were already lit. When it was almost midnight, Takeshita Junichiro, who had been busy the whole day, staggered back to his place. Treating a guest meant drinking wine. Drinking wine would naturally make one drunk. After a day of torment, Takeshita Junichiro tried his best not to eat the dishes during the meal. He only accompanied the guests to drink. After the meal, he would drink as much water as he could to dilute the wine in his stomach. Then he would spit it out before drinking water. Despite all the work, Takeshita Junichiro, who had an empty stomach, did not feel hungry at all. When he returned to his room, he only felt that his throat was burning and his head was heavy. His eyes also felt uncomfortable as if something was burning them. No matter how much he spat out the wine, he would not be able to spit it out completely. Furthermore, he could not immediately go out and spit it out after taking a sip. "I won't drink white wine tomorrow. I'll only drink rice wine." Takeshita Junichiro lay on the bed and rolled back and forth naked. hoping to find a comfortable position as he muttered. In the past, he thought that he could drink very well. After all, Japan's traditions were not much different from China's. Even the clogs and rice that he wore were learned from China. Therefore, Takeshita Junichiro also liked to drink when he was in Japan. However, Japan did not have such strong distilled wine as the Tang Empire. Now there was only sake, which was not on the same level at all. In the past, the officials of the Tang Empire drank rice wine and grape wine, but now, they liked white wine. Takeshita Junichiro could not understand. What was so good about hot wine? It was not like it had been stored for many years. The wine that he drank the most today was the one that had been stored for 3 years, and the price was not cheap. After muttering for a while, Takeshita Junichiro gritted his teeth and panted. Every time he panted, he would exhale a large amount of alcohol from his mouth. There was no part of his body that was not hot. Even his stomach was hot. He wished that there was a swimming pool in front of him right now, and he could jump into it. It had to be cool, and it would be best if there were ice cubes in it. Just as he was feeling uncomfortable, Yamamoto also came back. His footsteps were also light, as if he was stepping on clouds. He also took off all his clothes. First, he ran to the other bed beside Takeshita Junichiro and lay down. Feeling uncomfortable, he turned over to the floor and opened his mouth to breathe like Takeshita Junichiro. Realizing that there was another person in the room, Takeshita Junichiro shook his head and stuck it out of the bed. He looked at Yamamoto and asked, "You're back? Have you eaten?" "Yes, I've been eating all day. I've been eating nonstop." Yamamoto's vision was hazy, and his ears were not very good. He tried his best to understand what Takeshita Junichiro was saying and replied, "Then go get some ice back. We'll eat. Ice cream is fine too." Takeshita Junichiro was really unwilling to move, so he could only instruct Yamamoto. However, Yamamoto was not angry at all because he was also feeling uncomfortable. Just as he was thinking of a solution, when he heard that they were eating ice cream, he felt that it was fine. He got up, put on his clothes, and went out to buy ice cream. 15 minutes later, Takeshita Junichiro and Yamamoto, who had eaten more than 10 ice creams in a row, finally felt comfortable. At the very least, their heads did not hurt as much, and their ears were no longer buzzing. Takeshita Junichiro slowed down his eating speed and asked Yamamoto, "What did the people from Silla say? Did they say how much they were willing to pay to rent it? How many boats do they plan to rent? You just drank with them all day. What did they ask you?" Today, Yamamoto had gone out to make contact with the people from Silla. Since Japan also wanted to rent a boat, it was best to figure out Silla's plans first so that he could respond when the time came. In fact, the last question Takeshita Junichiro asked was what he was most concerned about. He was afraid that Yamamoto would accidentally be asked something important. That would be troublesome, and his side would have to change their plans. Yamamoto tried his best to squeeze out a smile and said, "Don't worry. I didn't reveal any information to them, but they didn't reveal anything useful to me either. We just drank all day. We drank at the restaurant on the shore, drank while fishing by the river, and then drank again when we boarded a boat in the water. Later, we went to the 100 Fragrance Pavilion and found a few girls. We drank until I came back just now. We didn't eat any staple food." As Yamamoto spoke, he touched his stomach with his hand, and realized that he didn't feel hungry, but his stomach was cold. There was a cold liquid surging up his throat with a hint of milk. He had bought cream ice cream. It cost 2 coins each. It was very expensive, but it was also very pure. Takeshita Junichiro nodded and said, "That won't do. That's not right. You still have to go and drink with them tomorrow, but when you drink, reveal some information to them. For example, we are buying land in Tang Dynasty and want to buy more land. That's the right thing to do." "Understood. When they hear that we want to buy a lot of land, they will think that we have given up on renting a boat. Then they will lower their guard against us," Yamamoto agreed. The two of them ate a few more ice creams until their mouths and throats were numb. Only then did they stop. They resisted the urge to vomit and panted heavily again. At this time, Yamamoto returned. Compared to Yamamoto and Takeshita Junichiro, Yamamoto was much better. He also drank today, but he didn't drink with others. He drank by himself, and even found a few girls to accompany him. If he didn't need to come back at night to report the situation, he would directly stay at the girl's house. As soon as he returned, Yamamoto didn't wait for Takeshita Junichiro to ask. Yamamoto took the initiative to say, "I bought a lot of land today, and they are all around the capital. It's just that the price is a little high. I'll wait for it to increase in value in the future. I'll go and take a look tomorrow." Pay attention to the money you spend. Don't spend too much, or you won't be able to break even, Takeshita Junichiro warned. He knew what Yamamoto were planning. When Yamamoto mentioned it yesterday, he was very puzzled as to why they wanted to buy land in Tang Dynasty. He only understood after Yamamoto explained it. The reason was very simple. The grain seed production in Tang Dynasty was very high now, and a new crop had appeared. At first, it appeared in Bohai Road, but then it spread to many places in Tang Dynasty. Although the crop had not been planted by the people yet, it was still new. Moreover, the taste had been tasted in the most luxurious restaurant between the clouds and the water, and it was very good. Yamamoto's plan was to steal the seeds of Tang Dynasty. Now, some seeds could be found in the fields, but the new ones might not be the same. It was possible that some of the Tang Dynasty's officials would plant them first and strengthen the security measures, not giving them a chance. Then, they would buy more land around the capital. There was a high possibility that the seeds could fly over. Even if they didn't fly, they could set up shacks in the fields and then dig into the other party's fields below. Of course, this was only one aspect. Another aspect was that the land in Tang Dynasty was annexing a lot. The land in the capital was more expensive, especially after that thing called the train. Presumably, Li Longji would not be satisfied with just the train from Chang until Luoyang. When the time came, there would be trains connecting many places to Chang'an. Then, the land around the capital that did not have buildings would probably be built. Looking at things from the perspective of development was something that Zhang Xiaobao had always advocated. If they did not buy it now and wanted to buy it when the time came, it was not a matter of how much money they had, but whether they could buy it or not. This was a long-term investment. They could not transport large amounts of materials from Japan every time they needed money. The sulfur and silver would eventually run out one day. And when that time came, his country would have nothing left. Sulfur was extremely important, as it was the raw material used to make gunpowder in the Great Tang. If one day, Japan also developed a method to make gunpowder, but there was no use for sulfur, then all those who supported the transportation of sulfur from Japan would be sinners. At the thought of this, Takeshita Junichiro felt a little pained. This was because many of the mines discovered in Tang Dynasty were no longer allowed to be mined. They said that they were to be left for their descendants. The things they needed were transported from other places, especially by sea. It did not matter if the distance was longer or the cost was higher. Tang Dynasty had descendants, but did that mean that Japan did not? Look at the silver being sold. Not only was the price low, but the silver had to be refined in Japan before Tang Dynasty could buy it. Furthermore, the quality had to be guaranteed. If this continued, the people of his country would definitely regret it one day. Buy it, we must buy it. Buy it and wait for their railway to be connected to more places. Once the transportation of goods and people are more frequent, we can build houses and rent them. Everyone, work hard for the sake of Japan's descendants. Takeshita Junichiro's gaze became resolute as he spoke to Yamamoto Kazumoto. Yamamoto and Yamamoto bowed at the same time. Yamamoto went to buy a lot of land today. The Japanese are really too smart. Wang Wan, who was lying next to Zhang Xiaobao on the bed, looked at the ceiling under the dim light of the bedside lamp and said, "Yes, they know how to play with real estate now. Moreover, their predictions are so accurate. They know that the trains from Tang Dynasty will be unimpeded. Since the capital is the center of the country, the logistics will definitely be more developed. When the time comes, there will not be enough space for people. Naturally, they will need the surrounding land to build new houses. Those people who sold the land are all fools. If I had known this would happen, I would have bought all the land in advance. But I was worried that if I bought too much land, others would suffer losses. In the end, the Japanese took advantage of it. No, I have to think of a way. I can't let the Japanese take advantage of this. This is not a small profit. Under certain circumstances, it cannot be measured by money. It can even affect politics. Zhang Xiaobao put his arms behind his head and looked at the ceiling angrily. He could imagine the development of Chang, and after the laying of the railway. At that time, it would not be surprising if the land price was 10 times more expensive than now. For reference, he could see that when he and Wang Wan bought the land in Beijing at that time, 600,000 yuan could buy 1 square meter. Around the second ring road, 1,000,000 yuan per square meter was priceless. The most important thing was that at that moment, the Japanese did not directly use all the land to make money. Instead, they let the Tang Dynasty's officials participate in the dividends. It was very common to get information from the officials, and even directly let the officials speak good words for them. Wang Wan also knew the consequences, but she had no choice. If she had to find a way, it would be to directly declare that the land bought by the Japanese was not in accordance with the law and take it back to the country. But now the Tang Dynasty could not do that. Unless it was a time of war, the Tang Dynasty had to admit that the land bought by the Japanese was bought. She could not just tell the Japanese that they could not take over the land, and then let the Tang Dynasty's officials and rich people not care, right? Xiaobao, do you have a good idea? Do you want to buy back the land from them again? They will definitely not sell it. Wang Wan had no idea, so she could only ask Zhang Xiaobao. No need to go through so much trouble. I will make their land useless. This matter is not urgent. I will slowly arrange it. I want to not only make them unable to make money from that land, but also make them lose money every year. Now we have to solve the problem of them continuing to buy land. Tomorrow, release the news that I will first try to plant new seeds in the land around the capital. Don't let us spread the news and let others know. After all, I can't do that. Just treat it as a rumor. First, we will raise the price of the land. If the Japanese sell it, I will let them take advantage of me. If they don't sell it, then just wait and see. Zhang Xiaobao thought of a good idea. After he finished speaking, he laughed twice and took out his arm from behind his head and put it under Wang Wan's head to be her pillow. His other hand hugged her and whispered, "Wife, let me tell you the story of the big bad wolf and the little white rabbit." "No, I am the little sheep." "Well, the big bad wolf ate the little sheep in one bite. I am the Manchurian tiger." The big bad wolf went all out. If he couldn't eat it, then he would eat it. When the sun rose in the morning, a train stopped at the station of Wanyan County. Xiaobei and the others stood in several rows and got on the train together. They sat in several compartments and listened to the rumbling sound of the train as it set off for Hongnong. Xiaohai still had an indifferent look on his face. Xiaozhu was still there painting. Zhang Chang, Zhang Gang, and the others were looking at the scenery outside the window and were very curious. Only Xiao Yuan's task was the most important. Not only did he have to consolidate his knowledge, but he also had to wait for Xiaobei's orders at any time. Who asked his future wife to be so restless? As expected, not long after she sat down, Xiaobei started to feel bored. The scenery outside could not attract her at all. She glanced at Xiao Yuan, who was sitting beside her, and said, "Xiao Yuan, do you think the officials from Hongnong could make a mistake?" "I don't know." Xiao Yuan answered very quickly. "Guess." Xiaobei nudged Xiao Yuan. "I can't guess." Xiao Yuan was still so straightforward. "Then tell me a story. You have learned a lot. Tell me and I'll nitpick." Xiaobei changed her request. "My story is full of mistakes. I won't let you nitpick. I'll tell you a few sentences. You can nitpick 5 sentences." Xiao Yuan did not compromise. "Then the two of us will play chess." Xiaobei revealed a pitiful look and blinked her big eyes at Xiao Yuan. Xiao Yuan imitated an adult and laughed twice. Xiaobei pouted and pulled on Xiao Yuan's arm, shaking it. "Just 2 rounds. 2 rounds. I promise. This time, my pawns won't get in the car, and my taxi won't jump to your jiugong, okay?" Xiao Yuan thought for a while and asked, "You really won't get on the train? Will your pawns still walk step by step? If they don't walk 1 step forward, you will beat the gong to retreat? Your cannon is no longer long range and can shoot from 6 stones away?" Xiaobei nodded seriously every time Xiaoyuan said a word. She appeared very sincere. Only then did Xiaoyuan agree. Okay. If you don't abide by the rules this time, I won't play with you in the future. Remember what you said just now. You're not allowed to use them again. There's really no need. That's too much of a bully. Xiaobei happily called for someone to bring the chess pieces, and let Xiaoyuan sit opposite her. She placed the pieces and started playing. In the end, Xiaobei played first. The elephant went from 3 to 5. Xiaoyuan played 2 to 5. Xiaobei's elephant went from 5 to 7. Xiaoyuan's horse went from 2 to 3. Xiaobei's pawn went from 7 to 1. He landed on his elephant. Xiaoyuan was dumbfounded. She looked up at Xiaobei. Didn't you say you won't do that? I didn't touch any of the pieces you said just now. I walked like an elephant and pawn. Xiaobei explained, feeling wronged. Then why did the pawn get on the elephant? Xiaoyuan could not understand. The elephant pawn is so stupid. Quickly play. In a while, my pawn still has to help the elephant cross the river. Xiaobei looked at Xiaoyuan with a look of disdain. Xiaoyuan happily took away her own handsome and said to Xiaobei, "You won. My handsome couldn't think straight and committed suicide." Chapter 9:14. Hearing that, Li Bai and Wang Wei looked at each other and found a place to sit down. Immediately, a teenager ran to them and asked, "What do you want to eat?" "Half a kilo of deep-fried dough sticks, soy milk, and some pickles," Wang Wei said to Li Bai. Wang Wei said to the child. He didn't dare to let Li Bai order as it was easy to get drunk. Although Li Bai didn't drink as much now, his drinking habits hadn't completely changed, especially when he was outside. If he really drank too much, said the wrong thing and caused trouble, Wang Wei would also be implicated. The kid didn't say much. He turned around and ran away. After a while, he ran back with a tray in his hand and put 2 bowls of soy milk and fruits on the table. Then, he took an iron tin box with pickles in it from the table beside him. He threw it there and ran to do other things. Li Bai opened his mouth but didn't say anything in the end. In fact, he wanted to emphasize that the pickles he wanted were cold dishes mixed with vegetables and bought with money. Like the pickles now, he didn't need to spend money. He could eat as much as he wanted. Anyway, they were as salty as salt. He could eat as much as he wanted. Eat it. I guess there will be a problem. Wang Wei picked up a deep-fried dough stick with his chopsticks and pressed it hard. The deep-fried dough stick was bent, and then he pressed it into the bowl of soy milk, and said to Li Bai. Li Bai didn't think that he was talented as he used to when he left his wife's house. He was much more restrained now. Besides, he was much better than the historical Li Bai that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew. At least he now understood the meaning of the words of the person who came to eat breakfast just now. Hung Nong was really going to have a problem, so he nodded and drank a mouthful of soy milk. He smacked his lips and found that there was no sugar. When he was about to ask someone to get it, Wang Wei said at the side, "Don't think about sugar. Didn't you hear that the price of the steamed buns has increased? Who put sugar in you? The original flavor is better. Don't you like it?" "I never liked it. I was not born here. I'm used to eating porridge. The soy milk is tasteless." Li Bai didn't hide his dislike for the soy milk at all. Wang Wei didn't persuade him. He wanted to call the waiter over to add another bowl of porridge, but was stopped by Li Bai. "Forget it. Soy milk it is. You can't drink the porridge." "Yes," Wang Wei said naturally. Li Bai looked at Wang Wei in surprise and kindly told him, "Brother Majia, you can say this in front of me. If you go back to the capital and meet people from the Zhang family and the Wang family, don't say this. If they hear it, you will be in big trouble." Wang Wei was puzzled. He looked at the soy milk in front of him and said, "I'm spending my own money. Why would they care? This is my own money, not theirs." If you met Xiaobei, would she talk to you about this? Today, you are wasting your own money, but tomorrow, you may be wasting the imperial court's money. Not to mention other things, every month, they will stop giving you food, drinks, and clothes in the capital. If you go to between the clouds and the water again, you won't be able to eat such cheap food. Li Bai stayed with Xiaobei and Jianan for a while. He was influenced by Xiaobei's 9 children, and learned not to waste money. He felt that if he had money he could eat all the noodles that cost 10 strings of coins. If he spent 10 strings of coins to order a table of dishes, he would end up with a pile of leftovers. That would be a waste. Li Bai didn't know where Xiaobei and the others got this theory from. Anyway, this was what he did when he was with Xiaobei and the other kids. He had never seen Xiaobei and the other 9 kids throw away food. When they were in Jilin province, they only bought a little and ate a little. When they went to the restaurant to taste the new dishes, they would pack up the leftovers. If it weren't for the temperament they showed and the clothes they wore, others would think they were kids from poor families. After hearing Li Bai's words, Wang Wei took it seriously. He was most worried about the attitude of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Now, not only did he care about the attitude of the Zhang family and the Wang family, but almost all the officials in the capital were afraid of being targeted by the two families. To be precise, they were afraid of being targeted by Xiaobei. When Xiaobei and the other 9 children lived in Chang, and they would come out every day. Who knew when they would meet them? If they were not careful enough, they would find something that could be used against them. It was not something that could be avoided with a simple smile. In this case, Brother Taibai, you should drink the soy milk. Look at the sky. It will still rain. After a few hours, the rain may be heavier. Wang Wei secretly remembered Li Bai's words. He looked at the sky and became worried again. 3 copper coins per kilogram of deep-fried dough sticks? Didn't it cost 2 copper coins before? Perhaps others also saw the rain and were afraid of being wet, so they hurriedly finished eating and shouted in that direction when they paid the bill. Li Bai and Wang Wei turned their heads and saw 3 people sitting at a table, 2 adults and 1 child. The 2 adults were drinking soy milk and eating fruits, while the child was just sitting there with no bowl and chopsticks in front of him. It seemed that 1 kilogram of fruits cost 2 copper coins the day before yesterday, but today it was 3 copper coins. The waiter quickly came over with a smile and said while tidying up, "The noodles have increased, the oil has increased, and so has the rice. Everything that can be increased is increased. If the deep-fried dough sticks are not increased, we will lose money. In fact, we will lose even 1 copper coin. Kitten, wait for me. I will go with you later. I have an umbrella." The waiter's last words were said to the child, who was a little girl. After listening to him, she nodded and watched the 2 adults leave. It seemed that she also had the same intention. Li Bai suddenly understood. Just now, he thought that the adults were abusing the child. Now he understood. The child would eat at the school, which was much more sumptuous than the restaurant. Wang Wei put down his chopsticks and looked up at the sky again. It's not good. The price has increased. It is only 1 copper coin, but it is 50%. Strange. The food has increased by 50%, which affects the people's livelihood. Who is so bold? Maybe it is a temporary price increase. Li Bai knew what 50% meant. He was in charge of the Ministry of Revenue. Not to mention 50%, even a 10% price fluctuation could cause a great shock. Therefore, he attributed it to a temporary price increase. Wang Wei did not believe in temporary price increase and said, "Do you think that the food supply between Chang and Luoyang might be insufficient?" Then, who ate the leopard's guts? Li Bai pondered. It was true. Hong Nong was between Chang and Luoyang. How could he casually increase the price of food? Wasn't the county magistrate afraid of losing his head? The 2 looked at each other and could not think of anything. The only thing they knew was that their task was very important. The waiter over there cleaned up another table. When he came out again, he had an umbrella in his hand and a backpack on his back. He held the little girl's hand and skipped out of the restaurant. It seemed that it was time to go to school. The heavy rain fell without warning, accompanied by flashes of lightning in various shapes in the sky. Streaks of water appeared on the glass of the carriage, like beans hitting a dustpan. There was also the sound of thunder from time to time, which made the rumbling of the moving train much softer. Xiaobei and the others began to eat breakfast. They did not let the chef of the dining car do the work. There was a special chef in the team who borrowed the space of the dining car and served the dishes one by one. Xiaobei chose the egg custard cake. He did not allow the braising and only poured in the soy sauce. He smashed the cake with a spoon and pressed the bottom of the spoon to squeeze out the mixture of water and soy sauce. He drank it little by little. When it was almost finished, What was left was something like fish roe. This was the way Zhang Xiaobao ate the cake. She learned it. She only thought it was fun and did not understand why her brother ate it this way. In the past, Wang Wan also asked Zhang Xiaobao why he ate differently from others. At that time, Zhang Xiaobao smiled and explained that eggs were not something that could be eaten at any time in the orphanage. If he steamed the cake once, he was afraid that it would be finished in a few mouthfuls. Therefore, he ate it little by little. He drank the water first, and then the white things that were hard and unopened could be eaten as delicious snacks. Who did not know that it was delicious when it was tender? It was just to keep it for a while longer. Not wasting food was also cultivated at that time. He was really afraid of hunger. Water. Xiaobei poured too much soy sauce. It was too salty. He stretched out his hand and asked for water. Immediately, someone passed over a cup of water. There was nothing in it, no sugar, no honey, and definitely not mineral water. The servants did not dare to put it casually. This was strictly stipulated by the young master and young lady. It's too salty. Xiao Yuan, who was sitting opposite Xiaobei, raised his head and looked at Xiaobei. He was also eating a steamed egg cake. The stewed egg was not expensive, but the stewed egg with mushrooms, fungus, desert cistanche, and venison meat was the most important part of this steamed egg cake. Xiaobei was worried about how to eat the rest. When she heard Xiao Yuan's words, she smiled at him gratefully. When Xiao Yuan regretted speaking, she put the spoon into his bowl and scooped a large piece of cake back. Then she used the spoon to poke the cake in her bowl. Okay, brother Xiao Yuan, you're so kind. As she spoke, she wanted to scoop more. Xiao Hai, who was eating the egg pancake, stopped and looked at his sister. If you scoop more, Xiao Yuan won't have enough. Oh. Xiaobei became obedient. Recently, she was a little afraid of her twin brother. Although her brother was always quiet, as long as he spoke, she had to do it. She even praised her big brother and sister. She could not stay still. She took a soup dumpling, blew on it, and slowly took a breath. Then she said, I don't know why Uncle Emperor sent us here. It's still raining. Killing people. Xiaohai explained to her. Killing who? Xiaobei was not afraid of killing people or dying people. She had seen too many of them. However, she could not think of who to kill. She looked at her twin brother with an expression of asking for advice. Usually her big brother and sister would say that brother Xiaohai was not bad. He had strong logical thinking ability. Killing officials and people who collude with officials. Xiaohai's answer was very short. Why? Xiaobei did not care who to kill. She only wanted to know the reason. Because you're on the move. Xiaohai explained. Yes, I'm here. Xiaobei still did not understand. Chapter 9:15. Li Bai and Wang Wei, who had no idea that they were being followed by a group of terrifying, armed men, finished their breakfast leisurely. They stayed under the shelter and looked at the air bubbles on the ground due to the heavy raindrops, feeling the dampness and coolness brought by the wind and mist. They remained silent for a long time. I guess it's true. It's been raining continuously for half a month. Natural disasters are hard to resist. 9 feet of thunder in the sky, sweeping across thousands of miles. East Sea Dragon King water, alas. Li Bai recited a few lines and suddenly lost interest in composing a poem. He sighed with a worried expression. Wang Wei smacked his lips and also felt bored. Suddenly, he thought of an important matter and said, half of the houses in the city should be gone. Why is there no water? As he spoke, his eyes followed the rainwater that fell to the ground and converged into a river. He showed a gratified expression and said, it turns out that drainage ditches have been dug. Look over there. There are wooden stakes nailed. They are afraid that people will accidentally fall in and be washed away. Li Bai followed his gaze and found that it was indeed the case. The converging small rivers flowed into the man-made drainage ditches and surged out into the distance. In this case, the local officials are a group of capable officials. Why did the imperial court send us here? For a moment, Li Bai felt that the imperial court was a bit stupid. Just as Wang Wei was about to nod his head in agreement, many silhouettes suddenly appeared in the rain. There were both young and old. Some of them were wearing raincoats, while others were letting the rain fall on them. Their clothes were wet and stuck to their bodies when the wind blew. Dad, here is the bun shop in the east of the city. Dad, let's go. Mom, there are buns to eat. A 7 or 8-year-old boy shouted excitedly in the rain. He pointed at the sign of the breakfast shop with his little hand, and pulled the clothes of a woman with his other hand. Seeing the people who suddenly appeared, Wang Wei was stunned. From their clothes, it could be seen that the living conditions of this group of people should be good. They were wearing fine cotton clothes and shoes with layers of soles. Although there was a trace of the vicissitudes of life on their faces, it only showed that they were hard-working. It was normal for children to know how to read and write. They were taught in school. Their faces were full of baby fat. At first glance, it was obvious that they ate nutritious food. The problem was, why did this group of people not stay at home, but go out in the rain? Also, why didn't children go to school? While they were puzzled, a group of people squeezed into the restaurant. Some of them went to look for the owner of the restaurant. Wang Wei and Li Bai couldn't clearly hear what the person said to the owner of the restaurant. After a while, the newcomers found a place to sit down despite the humidity. Another woman served them food. Everyone was given a large bowl of millet porridge, but there were no deep-fried dough sticks, steamed buns, or biscuits. Only the child had a peeled boiled egg in front of him, and there was rice in the porridge. Without waiting for Li Bai and Wang Wei to ask out of curiosity, the woman opened her mouth first and said to the person who came later, "The county only gives us 20 copper coins a day to help with the disaster relief, and we can only give the money after the heavy rain and before winter. Furthermore, we are all on credit, so we really don't have anything else to give. Madam, give the child some deep-fried dough sticks." The owner came out with a fried dough stick in his hand and placed it in front of the child. The child obediently stood up and bowed. "Thank you, uncle." The owner was very happy and hurried into the restaurant. When he came out, he had a big goose egg in his hand, which was obviously salty. He also placed it in front of the child. The child thanked the owner again and quickly peeled the goose egg. He used his chopsticks to dig out the oily yellow part and put it in his mother's bowl. Then, he tore more than half of the deep-fried dough sticks and put them in his father's bowl. He put the egg in front of the old man and prevented others from returning the food. He said, "I can read at home, so listen to me." As for the other adults, they didn't seem to be from the same family, so he didn't care. Li Bai and Wang Wei saw this and looked at each other for a moment. Then Li Bai said, "Add 2 steamed buns for each of you. Put it on us." Seeing that someone was willing to pay, the owner of the restaurant naturally wouldn't stop them. He took out the steamed buns and gave them to them one by one. Everyone quickly stood up and thanked Li Bai and Wang Wei. Li Bai and Wang Wei were not in a hurry to leave. They sat down and asked the owner to serve them some cold meat dishes with wine. They also used this as an excuse to drink 2 bowls of wine. They ate and drank while listening to others talk. As they listened, their expressions became serious. Li Bai, who had previously praised the county officials as capable officials, also stopped praising them. It turned out that apart from the county seat, all other places in Hongnong County had been washed away. In order to prevent the county seat from being washed away, the Honglu River had long been dug out. This was nothing to Wang Wei and Li Bai. It was very normal. In Zhang Xiaobao's book on how to resist disasters, it mentioned that if things didn't work out, the first thing to do was to rush to the villages to protect the cities. It wasn't that the villages weren't important. This rush referred to settling down the people in the villages. They only rushed for the land and houses in the villages, not the people. This was because if the cities were washed away, it would cost a lot of money to rebuild them. It was several times or even dozens or hundreds of times more than the villages. The problem didn't lie in this. It was about the property when the people were talking. As a place between Chang and Luoyang, the scale of the breeding industry in Hongnong was very large. It was close to the river. There were ponds for ducks and geese, groups of pigs, cows and sheep and countless chickens. Needless to say, the fish and shrimps couldn't be sold. Taking advantage of the convenience of the Yellow River, the salt transported from Jili province was mixed with the fish and shrimps and put into jars to make marinated sauce. From the clothes these people were wearing and the education of their children, it could be seen that the lives of the people in Hongnong were not bad. Since they were not bad, what about money? What about things? Could it be that when they were avoiding the flood, they didn't bring other animals and money with them? Li Bai and Wang Wei, who were surprised, continued to listen. After listening for about half an hour, they understood. Apart from the county seat, the people in the other places in Hongnong were all brought to the county seat by the county officials. Before the Honglu River and its tributaries reached the point where they were about to burst, they were dug out in advance. Because the materials used in the construction were all solid stones and cement, it was quite difficult to dig them out. The river was opened, and with the continuous heavy rain, the county officials made a lot of guarantees, so the people followed. As for the various kinds of things, household appliances and money, they were all made into booklets and said that they would be given them after the disaster. For those who didn't agree, they were either forced to carry out the order or left in the place where they were, regardless of the flood. Therefore, after several inspections and body searches, these people had no money on them. They could only wait for the county seat's yamen to help them. Although the county seat didn't give them food, Changping Song didn't open the gate no matter what. He only distributed the people who were brought to the various restaurants and shops to eat. He didn't give the restaurants and shops cash, and he owed them money on credit. When these several things were put together, it gave people a very awkward feeling. Wang Wei was from the Ministry of Works, but he had worked in the local area before. He was in charge of the warehouse, and it was not far from here. He had also been taught by Su Si. Seeing that something was wrong, he asked Li Bai, "Brother Tai Bai, what do you want to say?" Li Bai was from the Ministry of Revenue. Even if he didn't want to take the initiative to learn, he had to do the forms and listen to the reports. Under the influence of others, he had a little understanding of money. After hearing Wang Wei's question, he felt a little dry in his mouth. He drank a big mouthful of wine and took a deep breath. He said, "This means that someone is in urgent need of money and dared to go to the natural disaster. He or she took advantage of it. He or she is smart, but he didn't use it in the right place. He or she has evil intentions, so we were sent here. It seems that the emperor knows about it and doesn't trust the local officials anymore. He sent us 2 officials from the imperial court to deal with this person." Wang Wei was a little angry, but also a little proud. He thought that him and Li Bai coming here showed that the imperial court attached great importance to this matter and put the burden on them. Li Bai nodded his head vigorously. His eyes were full of determination and solemnity. Of course, they would never know that Li Longji sent them here to test them. One was to test their ability, and the other was to test whether or not they were honest. Li Longji really trusted the 9 children who were about to get off the train. If the 2 of them did well, then the 9 children were just here to play. If they didn't do well, then no matter how difficult the situation was, and no matter whether they were in cahoots, Xiaobei and the others would take care of it. The train stopped at Hongnong Station amidst the ear-piercing sound of brakes. Hundreds of people rushed out of the carriage. As soon as they reached the platform, they scattered in all directions and soon disappeared in the rain. The 5 people who had been at the platform for 3 days looked around in confusion. One of them said, "There are so many people today. They are in a hurry. They don't look like officials. Do you think there will be officials who didn't bring any attendants and directly entered the city to investigate?" The person next to him was also confused. After thinking carefully, he said with relief, "What are you afraid of? If there really is an official who went in alone, he won't be able to do anything. The city only allows people to enter and not leave. Look, what's that?" As the man spoke, he pointed at the carriages behind the bus that had just passed by. The bus in front had left, but the carriages behind were being dragged onto another track by a group of mules. The speed was very slow, and it was obvious that the things in the carriages were heavy. "Let's go and have a look." The person who spoke first rushed over. Because of the independence of the railway system, they couldn't get information from inside the railway. The 5 people went over and waited for a while. When all the carriages were in, the canvas covering the top was opened. There was an oilcloth inside. Looking carefully, they found that it was rice. Food. The person who spoke first spat out 2 words. He seemed very nervous. The other 4 people's expressions also changed. The second person who spoke looked around and said, Quick, go back and report that food is here. Who is so powerful to know that the price of food in Hongnong County has increased? Chapter 9:16. Someone is spying on us. Xiao Bei, who had just settled down, came over and reported to her. Oh, Xiao Bei didn't like the heavy rain, so she nodded. It means that they are hiding something. The person who reported concluded. Xiao Bei suddenly understood. Yes, they wouldn't send people to spy on us if they weren't hiding something. No wonder Uncle Emperor asked me to come and catch the ghost. Then Miss Xiao Bei, the next step? The person asked again. Next, you guys think about what to do next. Tell me when you've made up your mind. The unfamiliar environment made the smart Xiao Bei feel very embarrassed. She couldn't think of a plan, so she could only play to her advantage as a leader and let her subordinates think of a solution. Of course, when the matter was settled, she would give credit to her subordinates. She would share all the credit and not take it for herself. The Zhang family and the Wang family disdained to steal the credit of their subordinates. As leaders, if their subordinates did a good job, it would be a reward for their leadership. Those who could follow Xiao Bei and her 9 children were naturally not easy to deal with. As soon as Xiao Bei finished speaking, the person who came said, Miss Xiao Bei, there are 4 aspects. First, catch the 5 people on the platform and torture them to find out the truth. This plan will easily alert the enemy, which is disadvantageous for spying on Li Bai and Wang Wei. Second, go directly to the Yamen of Hongnong County and question the local officials. Let the local officials explain themselves. No matter how they try to cover it, there will always be loopholes. Third, disguise as the people of Hongnong County and understand the general situation. Then, follow Li Bai and Wang Wei, observe them and ask about the situation of the people. Fourth, enter the disaster area of the county and see the extent of the disaster with your own eyes. Ask the people who haven't left their homes what happened recently. Xiao Bei blinked and thought. Just as she was about to make a decision, she stopped and said, Wait a minute, find them and ask them. The 9 children quickly gathered together. Xiao Bei spoke and repeated the 4 plans. After that he said, Now let's vote by a show of hands. Which of the 4 plans of the think tank shall we choose? The first one, please raise your hand. Alright, 3. The second one, please raise your hand. The 4th one has passed with 9 votes. I hereby announce that the 4th plan is to be carried out. After a democratic vote, the 9 children quietly left the platform and went to the countryside of Hongnong County. The 5 people who were keeping watch on the platform didn't know that they had been discovered. They were worried about the several carts of food that had been delivered. You can either destroy the railway and prevent the county magistrate from earning any more money if more grain is transported here. Or you can forbid them to unload the goods. One of the 5 gave an idea in a hurry. The other 4 listened to him and looked at him like he was an idiot. This was a train, not a carriage. There were no restrictions on the local authority, not to mention destroying the railway. The people who went back and forth to check could kill you at any time. Let's go and tell the county magistrate that we're in trouble. The other person ignored the heavy rain and hurried in the direction of the county yamen. Xiao Bei and the others didn't know how much trouble the 4 carts of grain would bring to others, but they didn't know the situation in the county. They brought the 4 carts of grain here because their elder brother was worried that it would be inconvenient to transport the grain when there was a disaster. Otherwise, it wouldn't be just 4 carts of grain, it would be more than 400 carts of grain. It was still raining. Li Bai and Wang Wei were also worried. The situation in the county was not optimistic. The 2 of them found the problem. Someone had embezzled the money and supplies in the disaster-stricken area, and then raised the price of daily necessities in the county. As long as one was not a fool, one could guess what the embezzled goods were for. It was nothing more than taking advantage of the rising price to put little by little in the county to exploit the original operators of the ready-made goods. How dare they? Aren't they afraid of being investigated? Li Bai was so angry that he slammed the table and shouted. Wang Wei quickly covered Li Bai's mouth and smiled apologetically at the people around him. He said to Li Bai, Keep your voice down. What are you shouting for? What's the use of shouting? Investigate? Who's going to investigate? How are we going to investigate? I'll investigate. Start from the beginning. Li Bai was so angry that his eyes were about to pop out. He had stayed in Jianan County with Xiao Bei and the 9 children, stayed in the capital, and stayed in Luzhou. All he saw was a scene of justice. This was especially so for Xiao Bei's 9 children. Their abilities were not particularly outstanding, but they were very serious. They also followed the people to work in the fields. It was because they were filled with a strong desire to run Jianan County, well, that the people risked their lives to do things. Xiao Bei could be said to be adorably stupid as a county magistrate, but she was willing to work hard and learn. She was willing to do things honestly. The most important thing was that her elder brother and sister were not afraid that their younger brother and sister would harm the local people. Even if the county with a population of hundreds of people didn't harvest anything, as the elder brother and sister, they could directly subsidize it. Li Bai felt the positive spirit of the county, so his heart was also full of a sense of justice. He believed that although the world was big, evil could not prevail over good. Wang Wei came to the capital from the local area. Back then he met Su Si and was shocked by the care of the foreign affairs staff of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Through chatting he also learned how to be an official. Therefore he had a deep understanding of things in the local area. There were a lot of sayings there. Hearing Li Bai's awe-inspiring words he sighed and said, "You can't find out. If I were the local official here, I would let you investigate as much as you want. I would help to take care of the property and money of the people outside the city. Unfortunately, the flood came fiercely and all of it was washed away. Do you know if it was really washed away? Where was it washed away to? I also helped the people outside to enter the county. Even if I didn't contribute, I still worked hard. As for the price of daily necessities in the county, I also didn't want to. But the road is difficult to pass, and the goods from outside can't enter. What should I do? If you don't believe me, you can go and see. I emptied my family's warehouse just to help the people. Why didn't Changping Song open? It's not that I didn't want to open it, but Changping Song was also washed away. I admit that I didn't repair it well, but I can't spend a lot of money to repair Changping Song before the rain came, right? If it weren't for this unpredictable rain, how would I explain the money I spent?" Wang Wei said in the tone of a local official. His excuses made Li Bai, who had never been an official in the local area, dumbfounded. After a while he said, "They can't be so shameless, right? How can they be shameless? We have been working hard to do things for the people. Compared to the safety of the people's lives, we don't care about our face. If possible, we would rather exchange our lives for the safety of the people." Wang Wei added another sentence. Li Bai gritted his teeth and asked, "Then what should we do? Don't we care?" Chapter 9:17. Li Bai understood that he was not as good as Wang Wei in dealing with people. If he were to face the local officials, he might fall out with them before they could even say anything. So he nodded to Wang Wei and said, "Be careful, Maojia. I'm afraid that they will be cornered and do something desperate." "Don't worry, Brother Tai Bai. I'm going to praise them. You have to be more careful when you investigate in secret. I'll give you the money here. Keep it separately. Recently, the price of food is very high. If there are bad people who want to rob you, you can give them a part of it. Those who want money will not harm their lives if they get the money. Don't resist. When we finish dealing with the local affairs, we will come back to deal with them." Wang Wei said to Li Bai solemnly. They plan to part ways here. Wang Wei just walked 2 steps and turned back to Li Bai and said, "Brother Tai Bai, take this. When you are hungry, take a bite." While talking, Wang Wei took out a flat thing and gave it to Li Bai. Li Bai took it in puzzlement and looked back at Wang Wei with a questioning look. This thing still had Wang Wei's body temperature. It was hot. "It's from the ministry. I was temporarily transferred to the Ministry of Works. It's a benefit for Lord Zhang's family," Wang Wei explained. "Benefit? Canned food?" Li Bai remembered something. Something like that. When other people were eating dry food, namely fried noodles and dry biscuits, the people in charge of foreign affairs of Zhang family and Wang family had canned food. Now other people have canned food. They think that the skin of the canned food is too heavy and hard to heat, so they made aluminum foil and put things inside. There is a piece of diced meat, a small piece of fermented bean curd, a few strips of refined pickled vegetables, and a jelly-like thing to make soup. When you are hungry, find a clean water source, tear it open, and pour water into it. It will heat up by itself. Then you can put the thing to make soup into the water. After a while you can eat it. I like diced meat, so I chose this one. There is also braised pork ribs. When we go back, I will make a few more for you to try. Wang Wei's gaze landed on the aluminum foil packaging as he explained seriously. Li Bai nodded and put the package into his arms. Take care. Take care. Wang Wei also looked like a person who often broke up in a revolutionary life, but also like a person who had to part ways with two people. After Wang Wei turned around and strode away, Li Bai stayed in the same place for a while. Then he took a deep breath, found another direction, and waded through the rain. After turning a corner, Li Bai took out the aluminum foil package from his chest and carefully touched it. He sighed and said, "No wonder no one in the inner courtyard could bribe the Zhang family and the Wang family." In order for the inner courtyard members to live a comfortable life outside, there is actually a special department in charge of food and drink. He then touched the aluminum foil packaging and found that there seemed to be some bumps on it. He looked at it from the side and saw the words printed on it. Chew slowly and drink more soup. Your health is our happiness. The fragrance of sandalwood rose in spirals, and the sound of the zither was melodious. In Hongnong County, in a side room of the third courtyard of the county yamen, there were two people sitting across from each other, playing chess. The die rolled a few times and stopped. A man in his 40s chuckled and said, "You fell into my huaqing pool, right? Take off your clothes." The young woman opposite him said shyly, "Sir, I don't have 100 million. You're bullying me. I was also at the huaqing pool just now. You said that women can't buy. If I buy, it will be you taking off your clothes. I won't let it go." Although she said that, her hands didn't listen. She took off her dress, revealing pink underwear. Her face was also the same color as her underwear. Beautiful, really beautiful. The clothing line of the Zhang family and the Wang family is indeed extraordinary. They can actually think of such beautiful clothes. Baby, give me the die. Let me give you a good number. After admiring it for a while, the man took the die and casually threw it on the table. When the die stopped, the woman's eyes lit up. She carefully counted twice and said happily, "Sir, you're at my Xiaoyao residence at 9 o'clock. 5,000 coins. Sir, give me the money." As she spoke, the woman helped the man move a person to the first square in front. Okay, give me the money." The man casually took a bill from the side with the words 5,000 coins written on it and put it in the woman's hand. "Baby, it's your turn. If you enter my place again, you'll have to take off another piece." "Sir, you're so bad. You want me to take off my clothes? I'm so embarrassed. Sir, I'm going to throw it." The woman lightly bit her lips and was about to throw the die. "Not good, sir, not good." Before the woman could throw the die, a series of shouts came from the distance. After a few breaths, the door was knocked open with a bang. When the person entered the room, he was first shocked by the woman in underwear. Then he remembered what he was here for. "Sir, not good. Food, there's food." The person didn't care about hiding his body while the woman was screaming. He lowered his head and said to the middle-aged man in the room, "Why are you in such a hurry? Are you in a hurry to reincarnate?" The man was obviously very unhappy. He frowned and scolded. He then gave the woman a look. The woman quickly shook her snow-white body and left. "What's the matter? Tell me." The man's face was full of gloominess. He pushed the chessboard and asked. The person praised in his heart at the fastest speed. The county magistrate was really extraordinary. The lowest level of Monopoly game for children could be changed into a trading place for money. The woman seemed to be the proprietress of the Five Colors Tavern beside the main road outside the city. She was also bought by the county magistrate. As this thought flashed through his mind, the person continued to lower his head and said, "Sir, just now, this lowly one discovered that there were 4 trainloads of grain being transported to the station. This lowly one was worried, so despite the thunderstorm outside, this lowly one informed Sir." As he spoke, he wiped his face. There was indeed a lot of water on his face. Not only was there water on his face, but his clothes were also soaked. His hair was in clumps, and raindrops were dripping down from above. Some even gathered into small streams. The man, who was the county magistrate of Hongnon County, frowned more deeply. He patted his leg with his hand and asked, "Do you know who transported the food? Are they passing by or coming to this county? What did the people at the station say?" I don't know. Sir, the station is self-contained and is not subject to local regulations. I went to ask, and they asked me if I wanted to break the rules or destroy the railway. Otherwise, they would want to destroy the railway. How would I dare to respond? If I were to reply with more anger, he would be able to shoot me directly. The person wiped his face again and raised his head to reply. The county magistrate pondered for a moment and asked, "Are there many people following that train?" "Yes, there are hundreds of people, but they are not in a group. There are adults, old people, and children. There is even a pregnant woman who fell down." "Oh, it's okay. There are only 4 trainloads, not many. Let's see if there are other trainloads behind to continue transporting food." The county magistrate did not find anything wrong. How many kilograms of food were 4 trainloads? A trainload of 20 tons of food, 80 tons of food, 125,000 kilograms. The population of this county has now reached 30,000 people. How many days can a person live with more than 4 kilograms of food? Could it be that speculators know that the price of food in this county has increased and want to sell it? Then, "Sir, are we going to see who is unloading the food and transporting it to the county?" The person asked. "It's good to see. If they really want to transport it to the county, let me know." The county magistrate waved his hand and asked the person to leave. "Yes, I understand." The person immediately stood up and was about to leave. The county magistrate suddenly said, "Wait, it's raining heavily outside. Go to the back and drink a bowl of ginger water. Take care of your health. Someone make a bowl of ginger water and add more red pond." "Thank you, sir." The person gratefully left from the side door. "Sir, I accidentally tore my clothes just now and changed into a new one. Do you think it's okay?" After the person left, the woman came out from the back. She changed her pink underwear into a black one. Originally, it was just a hollowed-out underwear, but now, it had become a sexy underwear. The county magistrate's eyes lit up. "Okay, this is it. Come, continue playing. It's your turn." Although he said so, the county magistrate's thoughts faded. He felt that there was something wrong with what the person reported just now. As for what went wrong, he couldn't figure it out. The woman seemed to feel that the county magistrate was in a bad mood, and was absent-minded. She thought about what she heard just now and said, "Sir, are you worried about 4 carriages of food? What does a woman know? 4 carriages of food is a lot. If you want to sell it in this county, you have to look at my face first." "Humph. Do you think that Hongnon County can escape from my control?" The county magistrate was really thinking about the carriages of food. His face was gloomy as he said that. The woman laughed a few times and said, "Sir, how would I know too much? I just accidentally overheard it. I was just thinking about it. If someone really transported 4 carriages of food, it would be very simple. I just have to give him a portion of the profits and let him stay in the county. I'm just afraid that." At this point, the woman stopped talking. "What are you afraid of? Tell me quickly. If you do well, I will give you all the money." The county magistrate said, "Really? Darren, this concubine doesn't want Darren's money. What's there to be afraid of? What I'm afraid of is that someone has inadvertently brought food with them and doesn't intend to sell it. It's just a matter of habit. For example, Zhang Xiaobei from the Zhang and Wang families. If she went out, she would probably bring food, medicine, and many people. If you really meet such powerful people, you won't be able to keep them. How could their families not know when they go out? I'm just saying. Which aristocratic family is willing to run around in the rain? Not to mention Zhang Xiaobei." The woman held the dice in her hand and kept glancing at the county magistrate. Her body was slightly swaying, and the skin under her sexy clothes could be seen from time to time. Unexpectedly, her words touched the county magistrate's heart. The county magistrate had been feeling uneasy. When he heard the woman's words, he opened his eyes in horror and said, No Zhang Xiaobei for carriages of food. Hundreds of people got off. Old and young? And pregnant? Come on. Come on, investigate. Send people to check around the county. Don't let a single person go. After muttering a few words, the county magistrate shouted. Sweat dripped down from his forehead. If someone could see his back, they would see that his clothes were all wet in an instant. Sir, why are you in such a hurry? Would Zhang Xiaobei come here for no reason? The woman advised. You don't know. A few days ago, someone sent news that Xiaobei was in Wanyin County. How close is that to our county? A child can even go to Luoyang, let alone Wanyin County to Hongnong County. A child wouldn't care if it was fine. Zhang family and Wang family fit your description. As long as a child goes out, there will be a lot of supplies and people. What they are best at is disguise. There are old people, children and pregnant women at the station. How can it be so coincidental? It's better to be safe than sorry. Go and investigate. You must find out. The more the county magistrate thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case. He ordered people to watch around the county. Then, Your Excellency, The woman regretted speaking so much. Go and have a rest. Take the money on the table. Sigh. The county magistrate's anger disappeared in an instant. He waved his hand and ignored the woman. Whether it was the woman's intuition or the county magistrate who was afraid of everything, they really guessed part of the truth. Xiaobei was here. But she was not passing by casually. She was here specifically for Hongnong. Naturally, the food was like the woman's analysis. As the elder brother, Zhang Xiaobao brought emergency food for his younger siblings. As for meat, there was no meat. Because if something really happened, it would be good enough to have food. Who would want to eat meat? Of course, there was no lack of meat for Xiaobei and her 9 children. When the county magistrate asked people to stop them, Xiaobei cleverly listened to other people's advice and went directly to the village outside the county. She wanted to see how bad the place Uncle Emperor asked them to come to was. It's been washed away. The autumn harvest is going to be washed away too? Damn the rain. Why does it have to rain now? Xiaobei, who was held in someone's arms and watched others move forward step by step with difficulty, pointed at the destroyed field and said. Xiaohai was also held by someone else. It was not that he was pretentious, but the ground was too muddy. The adults were wearing boots, so their calves could not be seen. If they really walked on the ground, they would be directly in the mud from the waist down. Hearing Little Bei's words, Little Hai looked at the water flowing down the edge of the umbrella and said, This shows that technology is not advanced. Didn't Big Brother and Big Sister mention it when they were telling stories? There's a place where technology is advanced. If you want to make it rain, you have to use a special object to hit the sky to form a rain cloud. Then you hit something else, and the rain will fall. If you don't want to make it rain, you hit something else in the sky. Then the clouds that were about to rain will not rain and drift to other places. The people there don't believe in God and don't ask the Dragon King. I want to study mathematics well. Chapter 9:18. After parting ways with Li Bai, Wang Wei did not find an inn to rest. Braving the heavy rain, he passed by a grocery store and bought a bamboo hat at a high price. He covered his wet head with it to protect himself from the rain and prevent himself from getting sick. He walked along the street and entered the widest main road. Not long after, he saw the Hongnong County Yamen. There were 2 Yamen runners guarding the entrance. To be precise, they were enjoying themselves. A shed was set up at the entrance of the Yamen. It was large enough to protect the Yamen runners sitting in the middle from the wind and rain. Light smoke with the aroma of meat drifted out of the shed. When Wang Wei breathed in the strong scent of cumin, he wanted to have another meal even though he had just eaten not long ago. Wang Wei's appearance did not attract the attention of the 2 Yamen runners. They continued to roast the delicious food. The egg-sized pieces of beef were skewered and turned back and forth on the charcoal fire. The oil dripped down and made a sizzling sound. A little salt was sprinkled to make the oil evaporate faster. When the cold wind blew, it had a different taste. Good life, good enjoyment. Standing at the entrance of the Yamen, Wang Wei praised softly. He continued, Who said that torrential rain is difficult? The light smoke drifted, like blood charcoal red and oil yellow. Don't forget that the immortal court is in the human world. Good poem. Come make another one. I'll give you a skewer. A yamen runner heard the voice and raised his head. He waved the unroasted skewer in his hand and praised. Thank you. I'm not in a hurry to eat the meat. Are the officials in the county? I'm here because of the emperor's order to patrol this place. Wang Wei tried to resist the urge to take out the pistol he gave to the yamen runner for self-defense and shoot him. His face was darker than the sky. While speaking, he walked into the shed and took out his identity document to show it to the two yamen runners. The yamen runner who spoke just now was stunned. He swallowed his saliva and nervously looked over. After a few glances, he confirmed that Wang Wei's identity was not fake. He smiled awkwardly and said, I didn't know that you were coming. Please forgive me for not welcoming you. The other yamen runner beside him also had a good eye. He quickly handed Wang Wei a few skewers of freshly roasted meat and said shyly, Sir, please have a taste. It's fresh and fragrant. I'll report it to you right away. Wait a moment. Wang Wei turned around and saw half of a child's head poking out from a corner not far away. He narrowed his eyes and sized up the two bailiffs. The muscles on his cheekbones moved upwards, revealing an expression that was both sad and smiling at the same time. He silently took the meat skewers, pinched cumin from the seasoning box beside him, and slowly sprinkled it on the meat skewers. He took a bite first, then turned around and waved at the child hiding in the corner, raising the meat skewers. Unable to resist the temptation of the meat skewers, the child stepped out in a flash. His two little feet stepped on the water alternately, creating a trail of waves as he dashed over. He first turned his head to look at the bailiff left behind. Seeing that the bailiff didn't make a sound, nor did he stare at him, he raised his little face and asked, For me? Let's eat together, okay? Wang Wei handed over two skewers. Okay. The child took it happily and opened his mouth to take a bite. Suddenly he spat. Bah! Who roasted it? The inside isn't cooked, and the outside is burnt. Let me do it. The child didn't allow Wang Wei to explain. He snatched the remaining meat skewers from Wang Wei's hands, added his own, and put them back on the stove. Then, like a magic trick, he took out a small pair of scissors and quickly cut off the burnt meat. He smoothly flipped the meat skewers with one hand, and with the other hand, pinched the seasoning on the side and sprinkled it on the meat skewers from time to time. It didn't take long for the meat skewers to be cooked. Just by smelling them, Wang Wei found that they smelled much better than before. He looked at the child in surprise and asked, Kid, how do you know how to barbecue? I opened a barbecue shop before I came to the county town. Let me tell you, it's not good to directly use fresh meat when barbecuing. There's blood that hasn't been cleaned, so you should first simmer it. Also, I don't know who cut this meat. It's too easy to break apart when you barbecue it. Moreover, the heat isn't uniform, so it'll get stuck in your teeth when you chew it. Today you treat me to it. After the child finished speaking, he blew 2 puffs of air to disperse the smoke. Looking at the color of the meat, he nodded with satisfaction and handed the meat skewers back to Wang Wei. Wang Wei's mood suddenly became much better. It wasn't because the child knew how to barbecue meat skewers, but because of the child's optimistic spirit. He opened his mouth and bit off a piece of meat. While chewing he nodded, Delicious, good skill. I never thought that barbecuing meat skewers would require so much knowledge. Do you like barbecuing meat skewers in your family? The child replied with a sure expression and nodded. Yes, my family loves to eat meat skewers. My father said that if he doesn't like to eat meat skewers, he should never sell them to others. Because he likes to eat meat, he studies it and is devout. Hearing the child's words, Wang Wei was stunned. He just felt that the child was pitiful, so he invited him to eat meat skewers once. He didn't expect to hear such words. No wonder the child didn't show that he cared too much. It turned out that he was rich. There was no doubt about this. If the child knew that he would never sell the meat skewers he didn't like to eat to others, how could the child's business be bad? Thinking of this, Wang Wei asked the child, "How is the family now?" "Not good." The child shook his head and said, "A lot of money is gone. The 300 cows and 500 sheep that we just bought last month are gone. The chickens, ducks, and pigs are also gone. The loss is even greater. The most important thing is that the county's school is full. I can't squeeze in, so I missed a lot of classes. Well, don't worry, everything will be fine. When the flood passes, your cows and sheep will be back. Wang Wei comforted. No, this is not a natural disaster, but a man-made disaster. The previous county magistrate of Honglu River had built a very strong river. How could it be washed away? In fact, we know that County Magistrate Yen was short of money, so he dug up the river and took away our money and livestock. I heard that. Little brat, shut up. If you talk nonsense again, I will kill you. Before the child could finish his words, the bailiff who stayed behind roared loudly with his eyes wide open. He began to roll up his sleeves, looking like he was going to beat the child. Humph. The child hid behind Wang Wei and poked his head out. The king is the boat. The commoner is the water. The water is the boat. 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 You can seal my mouth, but how can you seal the hearts of the people in the world? That's right, that's right. Wang Wei nodded repeatedly. A feeling of admiration for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan rose in his heart. This was the result of the Chaoyang operation. The child he met at breakfast was polite, but now the child was telling the truth. It was all thanks to the Chaoyang operation. When he was a local official, he heard that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in Baoxing County had started the Chaoyang operation. He thought that the two children were bored and would not do anything. Who knew that in the whole Tang Empire, as long as there were merchants, there would be a school for the Chaoyang operation. Their contributions were boundless. Sir, don't listen to his nonsense. The county magistrate is devoted to the people. However, the rain this year was very heavy, and the county magistrate was powerless. He could not eat and drink every day. The bailiff hurriedly explained to Wang Wei, with a bitter expression on his face. Wang Wei was no longer a greenhorn. How could he not know the truth? The only thing he could do now was to meet with the officials in the Yamen and try to understand the situation as much as possible. He would cooperate with Li Bai to collect information outside and report it to the imperial court when the time came. No wonder His Majesty didn't send anyone to help us. Hongnon County is now under the control of the local officials. Even if 200 or 300 people come with us, it will be useless. How can we arrest them if we can't find any evidence? He thought. If we arrest them by force, we will be besieged by the local officials. Wang Wei thought that he understood the emperor's difficulties and sighed inwardly. He turned around, touched the child's head, and said against his will, "Go. I believe that County Magistrate Yen is worried about your problem and trying to find a solution. You should understand the difficulties of the local officials. The river must be not strong enough. Go back to your family. I think County Magistrate Yen will find a solution soon. Go on. How can it not be strong enough? I know. Go. No matter who built it, there will be times when they are careless. Everything will be fine." Wang Wei didn't let the child continue. He picked up a few skewers of barbecued meat and stuffed them into the child's hands. Then he pushed the child's shoulders and let him go. The child's eyes were full of confusion. Seeing this person, who should be an official, push him, he threw the skewers on the ground angrily. "I knew it. None of the officials are good. I knew it. I knew it." Looking at the little figure running into the rain, Wang Wei pursed his lips tightly. "I didn't know that Lord Wang was coming. I was late to welcome you. Please forgive me." At this moment, the door of the yamen creaked open and a thin person came out first. "Don't catch a cold. Don't catch a cold. If you are seriously ill, you will get an injection. It hurts. I am drinking medicine now to prevent it." Under the heavy rain, Xiaobei drank a bowl of Isatis indigotica powder and smacked her lips. The others also drank the medicine given by the team doctor. They didn't drink the sweet medicine, so the doctor didn't have time to coax them. Xiaobei casually wiped her mouth with her sleeve and pointed forward. Forward. The team waited in the direction she pointed. After walking forward for about a quarter of an hour, a river appeared. Xiaobei looked at Sister Xiaozhu blankly. Xiaozhu looked around and said, "This is a tributary of the Honglu water. This river is called the Hongyuan River, which is the main river of Hongyuan village. It seems that there must be something wrong with the Honglu water, which caused this place to be flooded. Xiaobei nodded. Since Sister Xiaozhu said that it was the Hongyuan River, it must be right. Sister Xiaozhu was not only good at drawing, but also very good at drawing maps. She had a strong sense of direction. At this time, the person in charge of observing nearby said, "Xiaobei, there is a bridge in front. Unfortunately, it has been submerged by the water, leaving only a bridge deck half hidden under the water. We can cross it. Then let's find a high place to cross it." Xiaobei took the umbrella from the person next to her and held it. Under the protection of the others, she walked toward the bridge. Just as they stopped at a large slope beside the bridge, the water level of the river suddenly rose, and a flood peak came from upstream. If one looked carefully, they could see dead pigs and dogs with their big bellies floating in the water. There were also countless branches and grass. Not good, the bridge is going to be damaged. A big tree is being washed down. When Xiao Yuan looked with her binoculars, she saw a big tree crown floating in the river upstream. Presumably, there were roots hanging down from the tree. It was not completely horizontal, and was slanting toward the bridge. Xiaobei and the others were shocked. That tree was as thick as two adults hugging it. For such a thick tree to be washed over by the water, one could imagine the consequences if it hit the bridge. Just like that, the crowd watched as the big tree crashed toward the submerged bridge. Boom crack. Everyone felt the ground under their feet tremble. When they looked at the bridge again, their eyes were wide open. They saw that the tree that crashed into the bridge was broken at the waist where it came in contact with the bridge. The upper part of the tree, with white stubble, smashed into the bridge. Because of the tree's existence, the water did not directly pass through the bridge. The exposed part of the bridge had a big crack and a few small cracks. As for the smaller cracks, they did not know. But even so, the bridge was not destroyed. Ah, that works? Who built the bridge? It's flooded and hit by a big tree, but it can still hold on? Xiaobei's eyes were wide open as she stuck out her tongue. Two people in the group immediately jumped down, ignoring the water that was rushing towards them. They swam to the bridge where a pillar was exposed on the shore. They dived in and touched it. Then they held onto the bridge railing and shouted to Xiaobei. "There are words on it. 18th year of Kaiyuan Xia, built by the village school, Zhengzheng Construction Group." As they spoke, there was a hint of pride on their faces. "Ha!" Xiaobei waved her little fist excitedly. "I knew it. The sturdiest part must be built by my family. Zhengzheng Construction, strong bones." The others were also proud. The person in charge was puzzled. "Based on what you said, Honglu River's Water Conservancy project should also be built by our family's construction group. Usually, after finishing the local project, they use the profits to build the main body of the local school. Since that's the case, why did the dam burst?" Yes. How can it be broken? Could it be that the construction team cut corners? I'll lend them some guts." Xiaobei was also puzzled. Something must have happened that outsiders do not know about. "Let's wait until the investigation is over." Xiao Yuan chimed in. The group of people waited for half an hour on the slope. After the flood had passed, they continued to move forward. When they were crossing the bridge, they carefully looked at the place where the tree hit. There were 2 steel bars that were directly broken, and a few that were bent. The net made of iron wires that were as thick as a pinky finger was also broken. Inside the net, there were cobblestones and small pieces of cement scattered everywhere. The main body of the bridge had a big crack. The crack extended all the way to the middle of the bridge, but even so, the bridge was still horizontal on the river and did not collapse. Chapter 919. A bend is complete, a wrong is straight, a pit is full. A man does not compete, so no one in the world can compete with him. Xiaobei and the rest listened attentively. There are quite a few people. Xiaobei seemed very happy, but suddenly frowned and said, "What bend is complete? Who bend? If others bend, I'll be complete. A man does not compete, so no one in the world can compete with him. If we don't compete, this society won't develop. If we don't compete, won't we be bullied to death? If Zhengzheng Construction Group doesn't compete, do you have a house to study in? It would have been destroyed by the water. Don't explain blindly. What nonsense is this? The teacher is just teaching the students. He didn't say that the students have to learn from any particular lesson. The water has been flowing for a few days now. What do they eat? Xiao Yuan said to Xiao Bei and started to worry about the people in the house. Xiao Bei stuck out her tongue. Only you know. What do they eat? Don't tell me they catch fish and eat grilled fish every day. Let's go and take a look. As she spoke, Xiao Bei ran towards the house and accompanied her. The water went from her calves to her thighs, from her thighs to her waist, from her waist to her breasts, and from her breasts. There was no change from her breasts. The only change was that Xiao Bei took off her bag and held it with both hands. Xiao Yuan immediately ran after her. After a few steps she shouted, "Oh my God, puff! Puff!" The water went over Xiao Yuan's head. She swam up and spat twice. She shouted to Xiao Bei in front of her. "Why didn't you tell me?" Xiao Bei, who was in front of her, steadied herself as if she was stepping on solid ground. She turned around and laughed. "You have a bad idea. You stepped into a deep place. Follow me. Maybe the children in there are starving. You're the child. The children in there are probably older than you. Wait for me." Xiao Yuan took off her bag and held it above her head. Not much water went in just now. The others also jumped down and swam towards the house. Everyone in the group knew how to swim. This was the basic skill of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Everyone had to know how to swim. As for the reason, only Wang Wan knew. It was all thanks to Zhang Xiaobao's grandfather, who was washed away by the water when he saved him. If Zhang Xiaobao could swim at that time, it might have been a different outcome, and there might have been one less international swindler. The sound of reciting or reading aloud continued to come from the house. The water that came down from the upper reaches circled around the house and formed a whirlpool, spinning and appearing in front of everyone from time to time. Not only was Xiao Bei not afraid, he even had the leisure to follow the whirlpool. Every time he was about to reach the center of the whirlpool, he would exert his strength and jump up to the spot where his thigh was exposed, avoiding the whirlpool. He controlled it very well and didn't get sucked in by the whirlpool and swim out from the bottom. This ability to swim was also related to talent. Not everyone had it. At least in the group, there were more than 10 people who stayed far away from the whirlpool when they saw it. They didn't dare to follow the whirlpool, afraid that they would be half dead when they were rescued. The first floor of the 3-story house was completely submerged in water. The water was only about 1 foot away from the window on the second floor. Xiao Bei controlled his feet slightly, so that his head could be facing the window on the second floor. Looking in from the outside, there were about 30 students sitting in the classroom on the second floor. A teacher, or rather, the school's headmaster, sat in front of the blackboard. He held a ruler in his hand and shook his head as he listened to the students reciting from the books below. Xiao Bei couldn't tell the teacher's age. He only knew that the hair on his head was completely white, and there were many wrinkles on his face. The students were very focused, and no one saw so many people swimming in from afar. Xiao Bei pressed her face against the glass of the window. She supported her bag on her head with one hand, and used the other to knock on the glass a few times. In front of her was a female student in her teens. She was reading seriously when she suddenly heard the noise. She turned her head and was so scared that the book in her hand fell on the table. She opened her mouth and stopped for 2 or 3 seconds. Then, a sharp voice rushed out from her throat. "Ah, ghost." After shouting with all her strength, the female student's face turned pale. Her shout scared Xiao Bei, and she almost sank. She made a face at her and said, "Why are you shouting? Are ghosts as cute as me? Open the window and let us in. What if we catch a cold in the rain?" While Xiao Bei was talking, the recitation in the room had stopped. The children and the teacher looked outside together. There were a lot of heads floating on the water. There were many bumps on the heads. "Don't be afraid. They are people." The teacher comforted the student and walked to the window in puzzlement. He opened the window and looked into the water. He did not know where the group of people came from. Xiao Bei moved her feet and came to the open window. She raised her bag and said, "Grandpa, help me. Hold my bag. I'll go in." The teacher took Xiao Bei's bag blankly. Xiao Bei used her arms to support her body and climbed to the window. She rolled in and wiped the water on her face. She complained, "It's raining so hard." Xiao Yuan was the second to jump in. The people behind him went in one by one. The people who went in first pulled them in, and they all went in together with their bags. Besides Xiao Bei and the other 9 people, there were 6 adults with the best skills in the classroom. The others went out through the main door and went to the corridor to rest. Until the window was closed again, the teacher standing by the window did not say a word. The 30 or so students were also shocked. "Grandpa, let's not go to class for now. Let's understand the situation. You sit, I'll just stand. It's all wet and empty. When I came here, I thought everyone was gone. I didn't expect there to be so many students. How many people are left in our school?" Xiao Bei pulled the teacher's chair over and asked the old man to sit down. She wiped the water off her hair and said with a natural expression. The teacher sat in a daze. When he heard Xiao Bei's voice, he broke out of his stupefied state and asked the question he should have asked first. Who are you? Who are you?" "Grandpa, I am Xiao Bei, the cutest child in the world." "Xiao Bei, Zhang Xiao Bei," Xiao Bei said boastfully. "Zhang. Xiao. Bei, who are you?" The teacher still could not figure it out. "I am the cutest child, the darling of the Zhang family and the Wang family." "Aya, why didn't you, Grandpa, think of it?" Let me remind you, do you know Zhengzheng Construction Group? It's my family, I am. Zhengzheng Construction Group? Unyielding? You are Zhang Xiaobao's younger sister? So it's you, Zhang Xiaobei?" The old master finally reacted. He pulled Xiao Bei into his arms and wiped the water off Xiao Bei's face with his veiny hands. As he wiped, he said, "Why didn't you stay in the capital? Why did you run around? If you catch a cold." Xiao Bei tried her best to avoid him. She tilted her head back and closed her eyes tightly. Her face was scrunched up. The smell of the chalk dust on the teacher's hand was too pungent. The teacher did not realize it until he thought that he had wiped Xiao Bei's face dry. Only then did he let Xiao Bei go. He reached out to pull Xiao Yuan, but Xiao Yuan dodged him. He reacted and squeezed out a smile on his wrinkled face. He looked at Xiao Bei carefully and asked, "Are you hungry? Have you eaten?" "Yes, I'm not hungry." "Grandpa, have you eaten? Have they eaten?" Xiao Bei rubbed her face with her small hands and pointed at the children in the classroom. "Yes, they have all eaten. Go, take a bath and change your clothes. Don't fall sick. Xiaojiu, go and bring a plate of fruit." The teacher happily and excitedly ordered a child. "Ah, fruit." Xiao Bei was shocked. The other 8 children were also puzzled. When they came, they had already thought about it. The children in the school had been hungry for a few days and needed to replenish their food. Who would have thought that the old man would ask them to take a bath and bring them fruit? Xiaojiu, who was ordered, happily agreed. She ran out of the classroom with her 2 little legs. It seemed that she was going to get the fruit. Xiao Bei shook her head and remembered the important matter. She quickly asked, "Grandpa, how many people are there in our school? Why did it flood the entire first floor?" "It was Uncle Emperor, it was the current emperor who ordered us to patrol the place and ask about the suffering of the people. We also caught corrupt officials. If we can't stand it, we can kill them." When the teacher heard Xiao Bei's words, he was stunned at first. Then he suddenly covered his eyes with his empty hand and cried bitterly. After sobbing a few times, he raised his head again and sighed. "There are still 145 people in the academy, including the teachers. Now they are divided into 5 classes, and my class has the most people. It's flooded. Is it because they cut corners?" Xiao Bei interrupted and asked. "Oh, don't be afraid. No, it has nothing to do with your family's construction. The previous county magistrate built the embankment, and it was very strong. It was so strong that this dog official wanted to make a hole. He actually spent 3 days and 3 nights digging and blasting. When the person digging the embankment, when the pickaxe fell on the embankment, a string of sparks flew out. Many people were injured by the flying stones. 3 days, a full 3 days, he finally made a hole in the embankment and flooded Hongnong County. The teacher gritted his teeth and jumped out word by word. His voice trembled along with his body. Xiaobei swallowed a mouthful of saliva and opened her mouth in shock. Ah? Like this? I'm so angry. No, I'm going to kill people. If I don't kill people, I won't be able to sleep. Come with me. As she shouted, Xiaobei was about to rush out of the window. The teacher quickly hugged Xiaobei and didn't let her move. Xiaobei, listen to this old man. You can't go. There are many people in the government. You can't go. Go tell your brother, and let your sister bring people here. At this time, Xiaojiu, who had just gone out to get the fruit, came in and advised, even if you want to go, you have to rest well first and eat the fruit. Chapter 920. Xiaobei had eaten a lot of canned food, but he had never eaten in a school that had been flooded for more than half a month. The child called Xiaojiu brought a can of peaches. The peeled peaches lay quietly on the plate, forming a strong contrast with the heavy rain outside. Xiaobei did not struggle to get out of the window. He stood in front of the desk protected by the old master's arm and asked, "Do we still eat canned fruits in our school?" "Yes, not only canned fruits, but we also have canned meat, canned fish, and canned vegetables. Otherwise, we would have starved to death." "Xiaobei, you must not fight with Yanzheng." The old master pulled the tray of canned food closer to Xiaobei and said with a kind face, "What? Is he very powerful? Is he very arrogant? Is it possible that all the yamen runners in the county have the ability of the Golden Guards? And the same equipment as my protection team, carrying 2 pistols and a submachine gun? Then I will send a message immediately and ask my brother and sister to form an army and come here." Xiaobei turned his head and said disdainfully. The old master shook his head. "No, the yamen runners do not have that ability. They are the people who protect the emperor and do not have pistols or submachine guns. But they do have handguns, firecrackers, and iron beads. What if they get hurt? Our Xiaobei is the cutest. Take a shower later, change your clothes, and eat your fill before we think of a solution, right?" Yes. Xiaobei nodded repeatedly and smiled like a flower. "Like I said, no matter how powerful he is, he can't compare to my family." "That's true," the old master admitted. "Where do the food you eat come from?" Xiaobei temporarily gave up the idea of immediately killing people and became curious again. "Where else can it come from? It's all given by kind-hearted people." The old master sighed and said, "Ever since the school was built, all the businessmen who participated in it put forward a special condition. That is, they will use the school's empty space as a warehouse, and the school will be responsible for the security." "Why? Who was begging them for money? The Chaoyang operation is voluntary. Those who are not willing to pay are not allowed to recruit graduates from the Chaoyang operation to work for them in the future. Otherwise, they will be confiscated. Not only do they have to work as warehouses for them, but they also have to help them guard them. Merchants are really bad. Well, except for my brother." Xiaobei indeed knew a lot. When he heard the old master's words, he was filled with righteous indignation. He briefly explained the rules of the game, causing Xiaoyuan and the others to nod and cooperate. That's what I thought too." The old master's eyes widened a little when he saw Weiwei. The wrinkles at the corners of his eyes became lighter, but the grooves on his forehead became more obvious. "I only understood after I got the water." The merchants who paid for the school had put a lot of thought into it. There were merchants of medicinal herbs, merchants of clothing, merchants of canning factories, merchants of grain, and even a chain store that sold meat. They built a freezer in the basement of the school and delivered frozen meat every year when the weather was hot. Xiaobei blinked as he listened. When he heard this, he asked, "Ah, there were so many merchants, and they were all here to take advantage of the school? Looks like I have to tell my brother that the school is a place to learn." The old master smoothed Xiaobei's hair back and used a fork to pick up a piece of canned peaches. As he fed Xiaobei, he said, "Yes, I used to think so too. But after the water was sent, I realized that I was wrong at the beginning. These merchants did use the empty space in the school as a warehouse, but every time they transported something to be sold, they would leave behind 1/3 of it. Before the new batch of goods arrived, the 1/3 they left behind wouldn't be touched. In other words, In other words, they had been stashing 333% of the capital of the school's warehouse in the school's warehouse. Xiaohai suddenly interjected. When the old master looked over, he continued. They had already transferred a portion of their capital to the school's warehouse. They gave up a part of their working capital permanently. The bigger the warehouse is, the more they will lose. Every time the price of goods exceeds the cost price and the supply and demand relationship has not reached saturation and balance, they will lose a part of their working capital in the market. The shorter the cycle of supply and demand, the more they will lose. Xiao Bei was confused. He didn't understand what his brother, who was only a little older than him, was talking about. He asked in confusion, "What cost? How much did the canned food cost when it was manufactured?" "That's only a part of the cost. The canned food has a shelf life. Every day it's in storage will increase the cost. Of course, the cost of storage and safety are saved, but the cost of saving is only 2/3 of the total cost. The investment is not proportional to the output." I don't know how to explain it. I'll ask my brother when I get back. The exact calculation is 100%, but 1/3 of the total cost needs to be calculated again. That's a headache. Xiaohai was also confused. If he really wanted to figure it out, he would need to include the actual price of goods and the price of futures. This was not something he could understand. It also involved the problem of the market saturation of certain goods, the supply and demand relationship, marketing methods, and so on. He had not learned probability, nor had he come into contact with fuzzy algorithms. He had only just learned the meaning of cost accounting. Xiao Bei was even more confused. What nonsense was this? What did Brother Xiaohai mean by saying so much to him? "What do you want to say?" Xiao Bei finally couldn't help but ask. "What I want to say is..." What Brother Xiaohai wants to say is that kindness is like water. Water is good for all things and does not compete, explain, or hide. Just like what you heard when you came here. A man does not compete, so no one in the world can compete with him. What is good is good. Do not speak or argue. Xiao Yuan opened his mouth and bit the peach that Xiao Bei had not finished eating. He vaguely explained to Xiao Bei. After hearing the words of the three children, the old man was stunned. Today he finally saw the legendary power of the education of the Zhang family and Wang family. When Xiao Bei saw the canned fruit, he didn't think about whether it was delicious or not, but where it came from. He asked about the life of the children in the school. That Xiaohai said a lot of things that he didn't understand. Xiao Yuan, who was beside him, could actually understand the words in the book. It was said that the education of the Zhang family and Wang family in Sanshui County was extraordinary. He didn't believe it in the past, but after seeing it today, it was indeed amazing. As the old man thought about it, he was full of admiration. When he saw Xiao Bei look at him blankly, he explained, "Xiao Bei, it's actually saying that all the businessmen who participated in the warehouse wanted to help the school. They would rather earn less money so that the school would have something for the students to use when the disaster struck." "Oh, I know. They are all good people, right? At least from the perspective of the school, they are good people, right? I understand. Sometimes I'm very stupid, but I'm still the cutest Xiao Bei, right?" Xiao Bei thought hard and finally understood a part of it. The old man hugged Xiao Bei tightly and nodded. Yes, Xiao Bei is the cutest. Then go bathe and change your clothes." Yes. I'll go now." Grandpa, how long will the school's food last? If it really doesn't work, find some wood, line it up, and leave with me. We brought a lot of food and left it at the train station." Xiao Bei was about to leave when he thought about the food. A lot more. It's fine even if we are trapped for 3 to 5 months. There are more than 10,000 kilograms of people frozen in the cold storage. I'll get someone to make you braised pork later. Go and bathe. Don't catch a cold." The old man looked at Xiao Bei and the others with relief. Xiao Bei nodded hard. "Okay, I'll go right away. Remember to make the braised pork thinner, and thin slices of ginger. Don't fry the sugar. Achi. This big brother, greetings. Can you tell me where to go to the clinic?" Achi in the county seat of Hongnong County, Li Bai, who was drenched by the rain, felt cold all over. According to the booklet sent by Dei Hospital, He should have a fever. There were many ways to deal with this situation. The simplest was to find a clinic. The second best was to find a safe place to take a hot bath and drink some ginger sugar water. If there were ice cubes, it would be better to apply it. Ever since Li Bai left his hometown, he had encountered such situations many times and survived them. But today, he was not going to endure it. He had money, and he wanted to get better treatment. Therefore, he decided to go to a medical center to have a look while he was still sober, under the stimulation of the cold rain. The person who was stopped by him looked at him with pity and said, "I advise you to find a place to rest. Drink a few bowls of hot water, sleep well, sweat, and maybe you won't feel so bad when you wake up." What about the clinic? Li Bai still did not give up. The clinic has no medicine. If you want to see a doctor, go to the county government office. All the medicine has been taken into the government office, and the doctor has also been invited. The passerby said a few more words. Thank you. Li Bai had already heard it clearly and also thought of the cause and effect. The yamen took the people and medicine away, intending to collect more money. What he didn't understand was who had the guts to touch people in the medical field. The people stationed here should be people from the Dei Medical School. Their guts weren't small. After hesitating for a while, Li Bai gave up the idea of going to the county government office and staggered into a nearby inn. As soon as he opened the door, before the shopkeeper inside said anything, he said, "I want a good room, ginger sugar water, quilts and quilts." Chapter 921. Li Bai came to a room on the third floor in a daze. The room was humid, but it was stronger than the heavy rain outside. There was a mat on the couch, a pillow and a blanket beside it. "Sir, please lie down first. The ginger water will be here soon." The waiter helped Li Bai lie down and ran out quickly. After a while, he came back with a charcoal brazier in his hand. He opened half of the window furthest from the couch in case Li Bai was poisoned. Another waiter came in with the ginger soup. Li Bai felt very cold. He thanked the waiter with the blanket wrapped around him. He picked up the bowl and gulped it down. After drinking more than half of the red pond water, Li Bai finally felt better. He said to the waiter who looked at him with concern, "Thank you. Please cook me a dish. It's salty and meaty. I'm afraid I can't survive without nutrition." The waiter looked embarrassed and said, "Sir, salty is fine. We don't have any meat. If you came 2 hours earlier, you could have eaten the last bit. Why don't you wait until tomorrow? The government office will send the meat to our restaurant tomorrow. We will have it then." "Oh, the meat is also monopolized. Well, if I don't die this time, someone will die. If we don't have meat, do we have water? Bring me a pot of water." Li Bai gritted his teeth and said. He suddenly remembered that he still had the food Brother Majia gave him when they parted. He could eat it. There was no shortage of water. The waiter ran out and came in with a pot of water after a while. At this time, Li Bai took out the aluminum foil package from his arms. Under the watchful eyes of the two waiter, he carefully tore a hole and asked the waiter to pour water into it. When the hole was full, he pinched it and tore the other hole. Then he put in the little thing that made the soup and asked the waiter to pour water into it. The two waiter had never seen this thing. Considering that the inn was not busy at the moment, they were not in a hurry to leave. They waited with Li Bai curiously. After waiting for a quarter of an hour, Li Bai's hand was hot when he touched the package again. He blew on it and opened the whole package according to the lines on the package. The smell of spicy diced meat immediately filled the room. "It smells good." The two waiter couldn't help but exclaim at the same time. They opened their eyes wide and wanted to see what was going on. Inside the large packaging, there were not only spicy diced meat, but also rice grains that were as translucent as white jade stretching out seductively. Li Bai took a few deep breaths, stared at the food for a few seconds and muttered, "Damn it, didn't you say that the chili was just planted and that there was no more edible chili left? Wasn't it said that the super polished rice in the northern part of Hebei province was still in the breeding period, so there wasn't much for people to eat?" They are actually in the bento boxes of the inner courtyard of the Zhang family and the Wang family. If I hadn't met Brother Majia, I wouldn't have known such a good thing until the spring festival. When I go back, I will find a way to get some. Guest, what are you eating? What is this? It smells so good. The red one and the rice, why haven't I seen it before? A shop assistant couldn't help but ask, his nose twitching uncontrollably. Li Bai continued to tear open the packaging to look for chopsticks as he said, "That's right. Have you seen the canned food before it came out? Do you know how it came out? Damn it. It is the food prepared by the Zhang family and the Wang family. Come, let me tell you, the red one is chili, and the jade-like rice is the super polished rice in Bohai province. After a few years, you may be able to eat it. Usually, I can't even eat it in the capital." While speaking, Li Bai had found the chopsticks, pulled them out, found a small piece of fermented bean curd, and was looking for the preserved vegetables. The two shop assistants swallowed their saliva and looked at it while smelling it. Li Bai, who was looking for the preserved vegetables, was suddenly stunned. Then he pulled out a small package in the big packaging, stared at the small words on it and read, "White tablets to relieve pain, yellow tablets to reduce fever, powder to stop bleeding, 1 tablet each time, twice a day. If conditions permit, go to the clinic quickly. Take care." There is medicine. Li Bai tore open the small package happily. There were 5 white and yellow tablets in it, and there was a smaller package inside. He pinched it and knew it was powder. Sir, is this medicine? The shop assistant didn't know how to read and asked curiously. Yes. Just eat it with the soup. As long as it's not a serious illness, you won't die in a short time. Li Bai happily pinched a yellow tablet and held it in his hand, laughing. The shop assistant also laughed. Sir, why do people always say that being an official is good? You can actually carry such good things with you when you go out. There are vegetables, rice, and medicine. Huh. Go and get a small plate. I can't eat it alone. Let's all have a taste. It's enough. Li Bai was happy to see that there was medicine to eat, so he generously invited the 2 shop assistants. One of the shop assistants hesitated, but the other had already run out to get the plate. When the plate was brought back, Li Bai took out a quarter of the rice and spicy diced meat, leaving half for himself. He also took out the preserved vegetables and ate the medicine with the soup. The 2 shop assistants carefully chewed the rice grain by grain and slowly chewed the diced meat. They were so spicy that they were panting and sweating, but they refused to spit it out. Li Bai was also sweating, which was more effective than the ginger water. Sir, I'm sorry for being nosy. What level do I have to be to eat this? One of the shop assistants stopped eating after eating a third of the food in front of him. He wiped the sweat on his forehead and asked. Li Bai took a big gulp of the soup and panted twice. He smiled and said, "The current emperor can eat it, and it will definitely taste better than what we eat." The 2 shop assistants were choked by Li Bai's words and did not dare to say anything. The emperor was not someone they could talk about. There's also Chief Steward Gao Lisher, Master Gao. He can eat it as well. If he wants to eat it, someone will make it for him. The Minister of Works, Zhang Zhong, can eat it. He doesn't need to ask for it. Others will make it for him. Only 3 officials can eat it. Oh, there are also a few retired old men who are lucky enough to eat it. As for the rest, those princes, crown prince, grand tutor, and so on, you can think of the big picture. Don't think about those below the 3rd rank. They can get a share, but if they eat it, it will be gone this year, unless they ask the emperor for it. Li Bai did not need to be asked. He continued to tell them what he knew. He was confused by the fever. No matter who he was talking to, he had forgotten all about their identities. After hearing Li Bai's words, the 2 shop assistants opened their mouths and widened their eyes. They were a little scared and a little excited, as if they were participating in a secret operation. One of the shop assistants was attracted by the smell of the spicy diced meat. He stood up cautiously and asked nervously, "Sir, you are? I'm not of such a high level. This food is eaten by the Zhang family and the Wang family in Sanshui County. Do you understand?" Li Bai knew that the shop assistant had misunderstood and explained. Yes, we understand. The Zhang family and the Wang family in Sanshui County. Sir, you are working for them? The shop assistant nodded and looked at Li Bai enviously. It seemed that it was an honor to work for the Zhang family and the Wang family. Li Bai was a little depressed. When he was talking about his position, The shop assistant was not envious. He said that he was working for the Zhang family and the Wang family. What was there to be envious of? There were many people working for the Zhang family and the Wang family. Li Bai wanted to deny it and say that he was sent by the emperor. However, on second thought, he was indeed working for Zhang Xiaobao. Although he was now in the Ministry of Revenue, anyone who had reached a certain level of status knew where they belonged. It was impossible for him to deny it. Li Bai nodded and admitted to the shop assistant's words. The shop assistant immediately became cautious and gave the other shop assistant a look. The shop assistant stood at the door and did not close the door. He stuck his head out to keep a lookout. The shop assistant standing in front of Li Bai first ran to the window and closed it. After that, he came back and whispered to Li Bai, "Hurry up and contact Zhang Xiaobao. Tell him that something big happened in Hongnong County." "What is it?" Li Bai's heart jumped. "Boss, something big happened. I'll tell you. It's..." The shop assistant muttered to Li Bai. The fog was thick. Smoke rose and filled the windows. Water dripped from the eaves of the pavilion. The desert cisterns rolled with oil. The cows and sheep were fat and thin. The rain was hazy, and the eyes were hazy. "Lord Wang, it's been a long journey. Have a taste. Have a taste of the lamb shipped from the north." In a pavilion near the water in Hongnong County's Yamen, the county magistrate, Yan Zheng, sat eagerly to Wang Wei's left. He used his chopsticks to pick up a piece of fat and lean meat, and put it into the mandarin duck pot. He smiled and urged Wang Wei to eat. Wang Wei had changed his clothes and taken a shower. At this time he looked at the hot pot in front of him. He did not know what was in the soup. It looked clear, but he knew that a lot of things were used to make the soup. The other side was spicy. The desert cistanch, the whip of some kind of tiger or deer, ginseng whiskers, chili, and other unknown things were rolling in the soup. Looking at the food on the table, there was a variety of beef and mutton. They were all the kind of meat with a marble pattern of fat and lean. A half-foot-long prawn was struggling in the water basin. A plate-sized river crab was waving its big pincers. An unknown species of shellfish was spitting water in a box in shallow water. There were also fungus, red mushrooms, reticulate mushrooms, and other things that he did not know the names of. They filled the table in front of him. They even occupied a table specially used for food. Touching the ivory chopsticks, jade-carved bowls and plates, and golden crab inlaid with jade, Wang Wei did not know what to say for a while. If he saw these things in the palace, Wang Wei would not think much of them. If he saw them in Zhang Xiaobao's house, Wang Wei would think that they were very ordinary, or even better than the ones in front of him. However, these things appeared on the table of a county magistrate. "Yan Zheng, which aristocratic family are you from? Which big businessman are you the son-in-law of? Why have I never heard of you? How much do you earn a year? Where did you, a county magistrate, get the chili?" "Lord Wang." "Lord Wang?" County magistrate Yan Zheng called out softly when he saw Wang Wei looking left and right without moving his chopsticks. "Oh, eat. The crabs in autumn are fat. Haha, county magistrate Yan, you are so lucky. This is..." Wang Wei shook his head to wake himself up from his thoughts. He pointed at something he had never seen before with his chopsticks and asked. Yan Zheng looked over and introduced with a smile. "Lord, this is oyster? It is delicious and slightly salty. It can be roasted, stewed, steamed, boiled, eaten raw, and used as medicine. It is a rare delicacy. It is not commonly seen in the mainland. It is also called oyster." Oh, Wang Wei suddenly understood what oyster was. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sent a lot of oysters from Jili province to the capital. Almost every official was given one. It was just that they were dry without shells. They were said to be local specialties of Jili province and were not worth much. Some of them were wild and pearls could be found in them. They also said that before winter this year, a batch of fresh oysters would be sent back and processed, so that the officials in the capital could taste the taste of oysters. Thinking of this, Wang Wei picked up an oyster from the shell and tossed it into the spicy side. After a while, he felt that it was almost cooked. He picked it up and put it into his mouth. It was fresh, indeed fresh. There was a special kind of freshness, just like the taste of the oyster sauce that Zhang Xiaobao and the others gave him in the spring. It was just that the oyster sauce lacked the softness of oysters. It seemed that Zhang Xiaobao gave him something real. He was a good person. When he went back, he might be able to eat fresh oysters. At that time, it would be much more comfortable to eat. Eating Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan was called eating the rich. Eating Yan Zheng in front of him was like eating the fat of the people. Yan Zheng did not know what Wang Wei was thinking. He thought that Wang Wei was stunned by the taste of oysters. He also picked up an oyster, dipped it in the soy sauce on the plate, and ate it raw. He narrowed his eyes and asked, "Lord Wang, what do you think?" "Very good," Wang Wei praised. Looking at Yan Zheng eating raw, he remembered that Zhang Xiaobao had mentioned something about eating raw. He cursed in his heart, "You'll die from eating too much." "Lord Wang, try the crab." Yan Zheng directly reached out and broke off a crab's pincer that was tied to the front of the pincer. He then took out the juicy, translucent meat and dipped it in the pot with chopsticks. After a while, it turned completely white. He picked it out and put it into his mouth while saying, "This is autumn's hairy crab. Each one weighs more than a jean." Wang Wei nodded and picked up the cut meat roll. At this time, the meat roll had already loosened, and the thin meat was piled on the plate. When he picked it up, there was still some blood. He put it in the pot and took it out. He dipped it in some chives and ate it. It was tender and fresh. Good meat, good meat. It's so fresh, bloody and fresh. It's raining outside the pavilion. This is a rare scene. Lord Yin invited me to eat here. What a good mood. Raising a knife to cut the meat and frying it in boiling water, a line of red and white, a line of fresh. Cows and sheep galloped into a pagoda, dark clouds as a curtain of rain. Wang Wei chewed on a piece of chili skin, and bright red water dripped down from the corner of his mouth. Yan Zheng listened to Wang Wei's poem and felt awkward. Why did he hear the helplessness of the common people and the weeping of the heavens? When he looked at Wang Wei again, he was frightened and asked nervously, Lord Wang, why are you crying? Is your mouth broken?" Chapter 922. Wang Wei, who seemed to have made up his mind, became very happy when he ate the hot pot. He tasted all kinds of food that he had never seen before, and even asked someone to bring him some fresh oysters to roast over the charcoal fire after he rinsed them in the hot pot. He ordered someone to pry open the shell, picked up the meat side with the iron chopsticks, and roasted it over the fire. Looking at the various seasonings on the table, Wang Wei secretly curled his lips at Yan Zheng. Wealth was not something that a small county magistrate could pretend to be. Do you think you can become rich just because you have shrimp, crab, whip, and fish? When did I have the honor to eat a banquet that Zhang Xiaobao invited? It was called a buffet. Not to mention the dazzling array of food, the various seasonings were also dazzling. Forget it. I'll just eat roasted oysters with soy sauce and minced garlic. Wang Wei ate 12 roasted oysters in a row. Of course, he didn't know that Zhang Xiaobao used a lot of seasonings for the banquets because Zhang Xiaobao used to sell that. Plus the food that they had eaten in other countries and Wang Wan's supplement, they could make hundreds of seasonings. Many things that were not used as seasonings now were also used as seasonings by them, such as red wine, cloves, fishbone powder, and so on. Seeing Wang Wei eat freely, the county magistrate Yan Zheng was also very happy. He asked the maid to sing in the pavilion. Taking advantage of the rain outside, it was really a special feeling. "Sir, if you think the oysters are still edible, you can load a cart with them when you go back to the capital. You can keep them in water and eat them as you want. It's very convenient." Seeing Wang Wei staring at the oysters and swallowing the minced garlic, Yan Zheng thought that Wang Wei liked to eat oysters the most, so he tried to give him a gift. Okay, it's early to have fun. Oysters are good." Wang Wei replied and stuffed another big mouthful of minced garlic into his mouth. It was not that he liked to eat garlic, as it was too spicy. He was worried that the food prepared by Yan Zheng was not clean, so he used garlic to sterilize it. He did not intend to die of illness on the spot. If someone had to die, it should be Yan Zheng. He understood that since the emperor had sent him and Li Bai here, he must have discovered the local situation. Yan Zheng, the county magistrate, could do whatever he wanted. As long as he and Li Bai reported what they had heard and seen to the emperor truthfully, Yin Zheng would have to die even if he had the ability to overturn the heavens. No matter how powerful he was, how could he withstand the attacks of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were now in charge of the capital city? This was all that Wang Wei knew, but there were still many things that he didn't know. Li Longji couldn't wait for him to report to Li Bai. If it was in the past, Li Longji wouldn't have paid too much attention to this because it wasn't easy to transmit information. However, news traveled very quickly nowadays. Telegrams after telegrams made it difficult for Li Longji not to pay attention to the flood. Regardless of whether it was caused by the officials' negligence or inaction, everything that needed to be dealt with had to be dealt with. After 3 rounds of wine, Wang Wei was slightly tipsy. He narrowed his eyes and asked Yin Zheng, "County Magistrate Yin, do you have a quiet place?" Yes, sir. Are you going to have a rest?" Sir, you can't miss out on something good when you come to Hongnong. I'll take you to see some fun places." Seeing that Wang Wei was going to sleep, Yin Zheng hurriedly tried to persuade him and signaled with his eyes. Together with another young woman, they helped Wang Wei up and walked towards the backyard. Naturally, there were people holding up large umbrellas to block the view. In order to get more evidence, Wang Wei didn't refuse. He followed them through 2 courtyards and came to a large courtyard. Before he entered a room, Wang Wei heard a clattering sound coming from inside. This sound was very familiar. It was a mahjong game that was passed down from the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. He usually played it at home. It was a small game with a few copper coins as the foundation. It was quite an interesting game. Could it be that Yin Zheng was looking for him to gamble? Did he want to cheat him of all his money? Then there was no need to cheat. He had given most of his money to Li Bai. He only had 1 copper coins left. Yin Zheng didn't know what Wang Wei was thinking. He supported Wang Wei into a room. After passing the screen, there was a square table with crystal-clear mahjong tiles on it. Wang Wei glanced at it. It was really extravagant. It was made of ivory. Afraid that someone would cheat, only half of it was made of ivory. There was also a layer of purple bamboo behind it. The texture was basically the same and polished smooth. The room was filled with the smell of sandalwood. The back window was half open. It was a beautiful scene to listen to the rain. There was a high table beside the table. There were various seasonal fruits on the table. The wine in the glasses was purple and red. There were 4 people sitting around the table casually playing mahjong. They kept coming and going. From time to time, someone would stop and take a sip of the wine beside him. It was very relaxing. When Yin Zheng and the other 2 came in, the 4 people had already seen them. However, they didn't greet them. Instead, their eyes stayed on Wang Wei for a while. 5 pancakes. A person sitting on the south wind threw out a card. Before the next person took a card, the person opposite pushed the card away and said with a smile, "Thanks. I've waited 4 rounds for you." The person sitting on the south wind threw out 2 bamboo chips from the small box in front of him. He stood up and said, "I'm tired. I don't want to play anymore. County Magistrate Yin, what about you?" Yin Zheng also laughed and said, "What's wrong? You don't have good luck. Did you lose all the money you asked for in October?" "It's still early. I'll go and have a look." The person sitting on the south wind shook his head indifferently and walked to a place with a hanging curtain. "Your Excellency Wang, you're here." Yin Zheng smiled and helped Wang Wei to the south wind. Wang Wei blushed and said, I only have a little money with me. I don't have any money. How about?" "It doesn't matter. Your Excellency, just play. It's not money but goods. They are playing with goods that can arrive in Tang before the end of December this year. Even if they win, the goods don't belong to them. They still have to pay. To be precise, what they win is the opportunity and power to buy the goods." Yin Zheng took out a box from another place and opened it, revealing the bamboo chips inside. Wang Wei looked at them carefully and saw that there were some words like 100 gene of silver, 20 gene of sulfur, 30 sea cucumbers, and so on. After a little calculation, he understood. However, there was still something he didn't understand. He asked, "Since we are spending money, why does it matter if we win or not?" "It's different. The goods from overseas have different prices. Those who want to buy have to set the price in advance. Those who buy at a high price will lose money when the goods arrive. Those who sell at a low price will lose money when the goods arrive. Those who sell at a low price will lose money when the goods arrive. Those who sell at a high price will lose money when the goods arrive. Do you understand? As Yanzheng explained, he put all the chips in the box into the small drawer in front of Wang Wei and added, "Your Excellency, just play. If you win, it's on both of us. If you lose, it's on me. At worst, I won't buy it." Wang Wei was still a little confused. He couldn't understand. It was just a business. Why did they have to make a mess? They set the price in advance and bet on the right to buy the goods at the lowest price. Weren't they idle? Well, I'll go back and tell the emperor that Zhang Xiaobao is above the list of the richest people. Let's see if he can figure it out. Wang Wei calmed down and sat upright. He began to play dice with the other 3 people. This was also a step in the evidence. Yanzheng stood behind Wang Wei and watched with a smile. He didn't say anything. When he saw Wang Wei winning again, the smile on his face became more and more brilliant. Wang Wei could win not because the other 3 people went easy on him. First, he played well and was good at calculation. Second, it might be related to luck. He was relaxed. Anyway, winning or losing had nothing to do with him. Just as County Magistrate Yan was feeling happy, a Yamen runner hurried in from outside and whispered something in his ear. County Magistrate Yan's expression changed immediately. He said in surprise, "What? They really came here? Do you know where we are now? Oh, go out, go out." At this time, Yanzheng remembered that he was still in the room. There were outsiders. He pulled the Yamen runner and walked to another room. When he left, his face was obviously not as good as before. It was so pale that there was almost no blood in it. The person whose expression had also changed was Wang Wei. He was no longer as relaxed as before. Just now he had only heard 2 words, Xiao Bei. But these 2 words were enough to make some people's imaginations run wild. Wang Wei was one of those people. The 2 words Xiao Bei were too shocking, especially the officials who worked in the capital. They all knew that it represented unscrupulous. It represented not being able to explain clearly. It represented not being able to cover up once caught. Most importantly, it represented a huge power. It could be turned into billions of dollars. And it could also be turned into rolling iron hooves. Therefore, Wang Wei's heart could not calm down. He recalled Yanzheng's expression when he left and recalled the Yamen runner's anxiety when he came in. A shocking guess appeared. Xiaobei was here? Zhang Xiaobei is here? It's really her. Are you sure? Yanzheng asked the question that Wang Wei wanted to ask. All the pores on his body opened, his hair stood up and goosebumps covered his whole body. It's confirmed. Our people in Wanyan County sent the news, but we don't know where she is. The food at the train station was brought by her. What should we do? The Yamen runner who reported the news was also affected by Yanzheng, and said with a trembling voice, "How could it be? How could it be? Why is it her? Investigate for me. Find out where she is. Even if we have to send out all our men, we have to find her." Yanzheng was finally unable to maintain his composure. The Yamen runner nodded repeatedly and drew a line across his neck with his hand, saying, "Sir, when the time comes, right?" Bullshit. Do you think she came alone? Tell me when you find her. This official will go see her personally. I must calm her down. How could it be her who came? I have already blocked the news. Go quickly. Yanzheng looked like he was about to fly into a rage out of humiliation. Tears were about to come out. This is the warehouse for the canned meat? It's arranged so neatly. Open this fish and let me see. Is it all fish head, fish tail, fish bones and fish belly? Xiaobei, who had taken a bath and changed into a new set of clothes, was visiting the various warehouses in the school. The first thing she came to was the canned meat. She pointed at a can of fish without a label and asked someone to open it. Tools for opening cans were placed at the side. There were quite a few of them. Someone took the tools and pressed on the can. The can was opened, revealing the contents inside. Xiaobei went to the nearest part and took a closer look. She nodded and said, It's really a can of fish head. Fat head fish. There's a part of the fish head and a lot of meat. It's done well. It's almost turned into fish glue. Put it in the pot and add some vegetables. It can be eaten as a fish head hot pot. It's not considered cutting corners. Open another one for me to see. The person beside her opened another can of fish. This time, Xiaobei could see clearly without being too close. It's actually a can of black bean fish. Steam it in the pot and eat it with steamed buns. It's very good. Open a can of chicken. When the can of chicken was opened, Xiaobei stretched out her hand. Chopsticks. Someone handed over the chopsticks. Xiaobei used the chopsticks to stir the can of chicken twice. Then she identified it and said, braised chicken wings. Not bad. The bones are already crispy. Give me a can of braised pork. Let me see if it's full of bloody neck meat. Xiaobei's words were firmly carried out. The can of pork was also opened. Xiaobei was stunned when she saw what was inside. Then she said, why do merchants always lie? How is this braised pork? It's clearly sweet and sour pork ribs. Do you think I can't recognize it? I really can't recognize it. Xiao Yuan felt that everything was the same. He knew about pork ribs, but he didn't know what sweet and sour pork ribs were. Stand aside if you don't know. Alright, let me summarize the canned meat warehouse. Xiaobei was very happy to see that the cans were all good. She was better at speaking. She pulled Xiao Yuan to the side and began to report. Under the spiritual guidance of Uncle Emperor, the practical support of merchants from all over the country, and the serious supervision of the common people, our school's canned meat reserves have reached a satisfactory level. It has shocked all parties and made. Alright, Xiaobei. I beg you to do something serious. The school is still flooded. The dam built by our engineering team has been dug up. You still have the leisure to. Before Xiaobei could finish her speech, Xiao Yuan interrupted her with a frown. Alright. I won't say any more. I'm just trying to boost morale. Seriously, our school is not collapsing. Can I say a few words to boost morale? Let's go to the next warehouse. Xiaobei was not angry. She walked to the next warehouse. The next warehouse was filled with wheat and rice. It was the kind that had not been shelled. This kind of food could be preserved for a long time. Then, she looked at a few other warehouses in succession. Each warehouse was very satisfactory. There was a lot of things in there, and the quality was good. Especially the medicine warehouse. There was actually a lot of equipment in there. It was easy to put on an intravenous drip. It seems that merchants still have a conscience. Xiaobei found a box of hawthorn pills. She popped one into her mouth and chewed it as a snack. Then she asked the teacher, Grandpa, do you know why that county magistrate wants to dig up the dam built by our family? Isn't it because he wants to flush out the entire Hongnon County? The teacher said angrily. Yes, because he wants to flush out the place. But why? There must be a reason. Is he sick? Is there something wrong with his brain? Xiaobei still didn't understand and wanted to get to the bottom of it. Chapter 923. For money. Xiaobei seemed to understand, but there were still some things he didn't understand. He asked again, then, did someone give him money to rush into Hongnon County? Enemy? Who? His family must be exterminated. Old Master shook his head. No, it was when the flood happened that the people were sent to the county to hide. They said that the county was well built and spent a lot of money to protect the county and rush into the village. Most of the people should have entered the city. When they entered the city, all the property was taken care of by Yan Zheng's people, including the livestock, furniture, and discovered money. Our school originally wanted to retreat into the county, but we found that there were still many things in the warehouse. Moreover, the Hongyuan River had not been breached by the flood, so we were afraid that the children would be in danger. Moreover, this school was built by your family, Yan Zheng, so we boldly guarded the school building and waited for the flood to pass before finding a way out. When Old Master said this, his expression was one of helplessness and relief. He pointed to a teacher standing at the door of the warehouse and said, he went to the county and found that something was wrong. He came back and told us. At the same time, he brought a group of children from other schools. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people in the local school. Two of the children were almost washed away by the flood. Sigh. The teacher introduced by Old Master nodded. He seemed to be afraid of Zhang Xiaobei's group, and was somewhat reserved. He only smiled and didn't speak. He didn't have the seriousness of a teacher, and looked more like a student who had just left an academy. He was indeed young. Xiaobei touched his head and ran his hand through his still wet hair. He said with a puzzled expression, "Is he crazy? Does he think he can hide it? Are the people in the world stupid? Even if the whole county doesn't say anything, our family's quality inspectors will go and investigate the breach. I want to see him. Let's send a message to the capital first. Otherwise, my brother and sister will be worried." Xiaohai's expression was ugly. Although he was young, he usually heard his brother and sister talk about such things. He knew that harming the people was a serious crime. So serious that people would die. Okay, let's ask first. Adjust the frequency. Don't let Honong County receive the signal, Xiao Yuan suggested. Soon, the message was turned into a signal and sent out by Xiaobei's people. It was relayed all the way to the capital. It was also raining in the capital, but the rain was relatively light. It fell sparsely on the surface of Tsushui, forming circles of ripples that spread out in all directions. Li Longji was lying under a large umbrella, watching the rainy scenery of the hibiscus garden, while watching Zhang Xiaobao busy cooking. This was the only time he could bully Zhang Xiaobao. In other aspects, he was always at a disadvantage. He didn't dare and didn't want to do something like a monarch killing his subject to Zhang Xiaobao. Firstly, he was afraid that the Zhang family and the Wang family would rebel. Who knew how many die-hard loyalists they had in various places? Secondly, and most importantly, he was still waiting for the Zhang family and the Wang family to lead the craftsmen to create something that could cover the sky and intercept firepower. Thirdly, he did not want to make too many people happy. Yes, Li Longji believed that if the news of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan dying was spread out, there would be a lot of people beating drums and celebrating. It was even possible that they would set off firecrackers continuously for a month or even a year. Therefore, making them cook was the best way to take revenge. This was a problem left behind by history. Who told them to make this habit after they cooked for Gao Lishur? Moreover, many dishes were not only delicious, but also beneficial to the people. For example, pig offal. Normally, people would not eat it, nor would they raise it, especially cannibalism. The reason was actually very simple. According to the conclusion of the Academy of Moral and Arts, if the handling of pigs and eating pork was not done well, it would spread diseases and cause large numbers of people to die. Therefore, many people did not eat it, and cannibalism was directly prohibited. For such dishes as the emperor, he had to make a demonstration by eating them. The spicy fried intestines he made a few days ago were still very fragrant. Li Longji thought contentedly. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao busy there, his mood was very good. What Zhang Xiaobao prepared today was the drunken fish that he had made a few days ago, as well as the freshly made drunken shrimp. Now he was going to make fish slices, which was also sashimi. He used a small knife that he usually carried on his body for self-defense to cut the fish slices. Each slice was as thin as paper. After he finished cutting a plate, he used a jade plate to carry it to the table. It was similar to the golden plate of carp. However, the golden plate was too vulgar, so he used jade. Wang Wan was also busy arranging the seasonings. While she was busy, she muttered in a voice that she could hear. Prodigal grassland people, all the good traditional things have been destroyed by you guys. When you talk about good things, if it's not Japanese, it's Korean. Let's see how you guys are going to fight this time. What are you going to fight with? Cuckoo, what are you talking about? Li Longji saw Wang Wan's mouth moving and asked. I'm saying that there are still a few dishes missing, so we have to make it too. In the end, we have to boil a seafood soup, or fathead fish soup is also fine. Shark fin is too vulgar, so we didn't make it. Wang Wan replied very naturally. Li Longji knew the taste of shark fin. He wanted to say that it was not bad, but when he saw that there were still many dishes, he continued to remain silent. Zhang Xiaobao made a few more dishes in succession. There were fried fish maw, fried fish skin, boiled fish eyes, dry fried squid, vermicelli seaweed, oysters with green garlic, sea cucumber soup, and so on. Fortunately, he had come into contact with many dishes in the past. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to make so many dishes. It was also the first time Li Longji saw Zhang Xiaobao making these aquatic products. He frowned slightly and looked at Wang Wan and asked, "This Xiaobao seems to be too familiar with cooking, isn't it?" "Yes, Xiaobao likes to ponder. It's delicious. When the winter sky river freezes, I'll let Xiaobao make an all-fish banquet for it to be delicious." Wang Wan could only explain like this. "When I go back, I'll let the people in the imperial kitchen think about it. Why are there so few new dishes for me to eat?" Li Longji actually wanted to ask where Zhang Xiaobao got the time to study how to cook. Did he not sleep? He swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He was a genius, so naturally he had the ability to be a genius. The palace maids waiting on the side knew what was going on. It wasn't that the people in the imperial kitchen didn't have the ability, but they were afraid that the emperor wouldn't be used to the new dishes and would punish them. Even if they weren't used to the dishes made by Zhang Xiaobao, they had to endure it. At worst, they wouldn't eat it. The dishes that needed to be cooked were finally done and placed on the table. First, the sashimi was pushed in front of Li Longji. The sashimi had the shortest preservation time and was the last to be cooked. It had to be eaten immediately to taste good. Zhang Xiaobao also breathed a sigh of relief. He picked up the chopsticks and prepared to taste the fresh and smooth sashimi. However, when he dipped the chopsticks in wasabi and salt, without waiting for the rolls, the eunuch Luo Bin hurriedly ran in. He anxiously looked at the emperor who was eating and gathered his courage to say, Chapter 924. Oh, there really is a problem. Li Longji didn't read the contents of the telegram. He was convinced by Luo Bin's words. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who had just sat down and were about to eat sashimi. Zhang Xiaobao hesitated for a moment, but still stuffed the sashimi into his mouth. He chewed hard and swallowed before saying, "Could it be that Xiaobei saw wrongly? Is there something else going on? Could it be that Yan Zheng's crime is even worse and Xiaobei didn't find out?" Li Longji frowned. Xiaobao means that Xiaobei is wrong. Yan Zheng might not have committed such a serious crime. He might have offended Xiaobei. Otherwise, how would a county head dare to destroy the embankment and take the people's money? Wang Wan explained. Li Longji waved his hand and said, "How is that possible? My Xiaobei can't be wrong. If he says that someone is guilty, then that person must be guilty. I have long suspected that there was something wrong with Hong Nong. Who knew that he would be so daring? How did he become your Xiaobei?" Zhang Xiaobao cursed silently, but he also knew that the possibility of Xiaobei lying was very small. Other than Xiaobei and the other 9 people, there were also many adults who would not allow Xiaobei to fool around. Once it was confirmed, Yan Zheng's family would be exterminated. Wang Wan looked over and met Zhang Xiaobao's eyes. The two of them nodded at the same time. "Your Majesty, I think it's better for Wang Wan and I to make a trip there personally. If Xiaobei's actions aren't steady, I'm afraid he'll get into big trouble." Saying this, Zhang Xiaobao stopped eating and stood up to leave. Wang Wan followed behind. Li Longji was stunned for a moment and asked, "Then, what about the fall examination?" "Next year, the two of us will take the spring examination." Zhang Xiaobao was actually afraid that the bold Yan Zheng would do something even more daring and put his younger siblings in danger. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's figures disappear from his sight, Li Longji pondered for a moment. He then picked up his chopsticks again and ordered, "Pass down the decree. This year's autumn exam will be delayed by a month. All students who apply for the exam can go to the Imperial College and obtain a certificate for food and lodging. They can eat and drink at Zhang Xiaobao's and Wang's businesses." "Yes, that's it." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Gao Lisher thanked him from the side. As for the expenses of the students, since his godson could treat all the people of Chang and to food and drink for 10 days, he naturally wouldn't care about the expenses of the students. "Xiaobao, are you really going to Hongnom?" Wang Wan, who had followed Zhang Xiaobao out, asked for confirmation. "Let's go. I suspect that there's more to this matter than meets the eye." Zhang Xiaobao's brows furrowed in worry as he quickened his pace. "What do you mean?" Wang Wan didn't bother to open her umbrella. She wiped the rain from her forehead and asked, "Do you still remember 10 years before we came? The mayor of a city blew up the dam and flooded 3 counties with the excuse that the dam was rusty due to the strong flood?" Zhang Xiaobao reminded her. Wang Wan rolled her eyes and tried to recall. She said, at that time he wanted to destroy a group of buildings. Even if he didn't release the water, the buildings wouldn't be able to withstand the heavy rain. The quality of the buildings was too poor. He was too involved in it. Could it be that Yan Zheng from Hongnong also intervened in the local construction? It's impossible. The quality of the construction projects nowadays can still be guaranteed. People aren't that bad. Maybe he wanted to cover up other facts. Zhang Xiaobao hurried to the carriage that had picked him up. He unloaded 2 horses from the shaft of the carriage and gave one to Wang Wan. He rode the other one himself and galloped towards the train station. It was still raining. Flashes of lightning lit up the dark night sky. In an inn in Hongnong County, Li Bai, who was covered in layers of clothes and sweating, felt much more comfortable. Pretending to be a man sent by Zhang family and Wang family, Li Bai was eagerly taken care of by the waiter of the inn. He was not only given a bigger room and a new bedding, but also 2 lampstands, which lit up the room. Li Bai drank bowl after bowl of ginger sugar water. When he was hungry, he didn't eat but drank soup. The bedding wrapped around him was changed every time it got wet. Although there was no electric light in the room, it was still better than other places. Seeing the waiter being so attentive, Li Bai was so moved that he wanted to tell his real identity several times. However, he was afraid that the waiter would suddenly change his attitude, so he had to apologize secretly. "Your Excellency, are you cold?" A waiter who was waiting to serve Li Bai in the room sat in front of the lamp for a while and asked Li Bai. "No, I'm hot." Li Bai maintained his sitting posture, with his eyes still looking out of the half-open window. Then he asked, "Do you think Ma San is lost? He has been gone for an hour. He hasn't come back yet." "Your Excellency, don't worry. Maybe it's because the water outside is too strong. Ma San ran out to hide from the water. He will be back soon." The waiter comforted him. "That's good. That's good. Don't have any conflicts with the people in the yamen," Li Bai said, but he was still worried. Since he was mistaken by the waiter as a man from Zhang family and Wang family, Li Bai heard a lot of unbelievable things from the waiter. First of all, he knew that the flood in Hongnong County was caused by someone. There were many people sent by the yamen to guard around Hongnong County, especially the railway station. No one was allowed to leave. This was a serious crime. Yan Zheng, the county magistrate, dared to do it. Second, before the flood, there was a popular game in Hongnong County. It was not a lottery controlled by the state, but something called goods tickets. Money was used to buy tickets for various goods. When buying tickets, the prices would fluctuate. Every 10 days, the yamen would announce the prices of various goods. Some prices would rise, while others would fall. Those who held tickets for goods that had risen in price would naturally make a profit if they sold the tickets. Otherwise, they would lose money. Interestingly, the price fluctuation of goods tickets did not affect the prices of various materials in the county. If people who bought the tickets did not sell them, there would be goods delivered. After several times, more and more people bought the tickets. The reason was that the price of the tickets was very low the first few times. Even if the price of the goods went down, as long as they did not sell the tickets, the price of the goods would be lower than the normal price of the goods in the county. It was very cost-effective. But recently, the price of many things in the county had gone up. The price of the tickets had also gone up. The increase was not small, and it had far exceeded the normal price. Li Bai did not know what was going on for a while. He only felt that it was abnormal. He was worried that Wang Wei would not be safe in the yamen, so he asked a waiter to check and try to find out some information. He waited anxiously for another quarter of an hour. When Li Bai was about to ask another waiter to help him, Ma San, who went to inquire, finally came back with rain all over his body. "How is it?" Li Bai asked nervously when he saw Ma San. Chapter 925. Throw the handkerchief. Gently place it behind the child. Everyone, don't tell him. The crisp sound made it hard for Zhang and the others to believe that this was a school that had been flooded for many days. They didn't feel any helplessness or confusion from the song, nor did they feel any fear or sadness. Of course, they didn't feel any strength, unyielding spirit, struggle, or faith from the song either. The only feeling it gave them was happiness, a very simple happiness, unrestrained, brilliant, and innocent. It was as if the song was supposed to be like this and shouldn't be mixed with more emotions. About half a li away from Zhang's group, a few figures appeared. It was Wang Wei and the others who had tried to catch up last night. They also heard the song, and Wang Wei's mood became very good. He even had the mood to talk to the Yamen servant who had accompanied him. Did you hear that? Singing is power. The power of the Zhang family and the Wang family. True power shouldn't give people the feeling of being strong, but the warmth of a family. Zhang Xiaobei is here, so the child has become a real child. Your master doesn't understand that some power can't be resisted because the opponent of this power is the heavens and the earth. After saying this, Wang Wei recited with great interest. The light is slanted and the water is green. The waves are floating and the clouds are white. The servant looked up. The sky was still cloudy and the rain was still falling. He didn't understand where Wang Wei had seen the floating clouds. He was about to refute when he was suddenly shocked and asked, "How did you know Zhang Xiaobei was here?" "I'm stupid. I don't know anything. You can lie to me however you want, right?" When Wang Wei saw the flag that had been forcibly unfurled on the school building, he was no longer worried that Zhang's group would harm him. On the large flag, there were 9 rice seedlings holding hands around a bonfire. The stars in the sky were bigger than the moon, and each rice seedling's head was illuminated by a big star. Wang Wei didn't need to say much about such a classic flag. He knew who it belonged to. At this time, Zhang and the others were standing at the place where Xiaobei had started to enter the water. The water that had gathered from all over didn't become smaller, and was still swirling in the direction of the river. Unlike Xiaobei, Zhang didn't know how to swim. Looking at the first 3 floors that were flooded, he hesitated and didn't know how to get across. "Sir, shall we have someone bring you across?" The person beside Zhang spoke up and waved his hand. 2 people came over from behind. From the looks of it, they were good swimmers. Fine. Zhang clenched his teeth and decided. However, as soon as he finished speaking, before the 2 men could bring him over, there was already a sound coming from the opposite building. It should be a simple loudspeaker. "Zhang, stand there and don't move. If you move, I'll beat you to death. There's a path to heaven but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell but you barged in." It was Zhang Xiaobei's voice. She had just been playing handkerchief with the children in the school. The person in charge of observing the surroundings discovered Zhang's group. He found someone to confirm their identity through binoculars and quickly reported to Xiaobei. Xiaobei hated Zhang so much that he could not express it with words. He did not expect that before he could find the time to enter the city to capture Zhang would personally come to the academy. Haha, if he did not teach him a lesson now, when would he? After Zhang heard the commotion, he couldn't help but shiver. He didn't dare to make any other movements. He stood there obediently motionless. But in his heart he kept thinking about how to deceive Zhang Xiaobei and the others. He didn't want to come over. Wouldn't that be walking into a trap? However, there were many things in the county that had not been transported to the designated location. He couldn't afford to lose them. He planned to delay for a few days. He would first deceive Zhang Xiaobei and the others and then wait for an opportunity to leave. Otherwise, even if he immediately fled from the county, he was worried that Xiaobei would catch him. He didn't think that he could escape Zhang Xiaobei's pursuit within a day. Yes, he was worried that Zhang Xiaobei would immediately send people to the county to capture him after hearing what others said when she arrived at the academy. He had to take the risk and make use of the time difference. "Go capture all of them for me. No, capture the few leaders. Tie up the rest and throw them there. Send someone to guard them. Humph, an eye for an eye, an eye for an eye, an eye for an eye." Upstairs, Zhang Xiaobei waved her small hand. Immediately, 30 people jumped into the water and swam towards Zhang. The next thing was easy. Zhang and a few important people were brought to the academy. The others took off their belts and shoes and asked the protection team to tie them up. Then they threw them on the ground and didn't dare to move. As soon as the protection team finished tying up the people, Wang Wei had already left his team and ran towards the academy. He shouted as he ran, "Hey here! Catch them! Catch them all! None of them are good." The person who led Wang Wei here was dumbfounded. What happened in front of him was different from what he had expected. It should be that when he and the others arrived, the county magistrate and Zhang Xiaobei were talking and laughing. Zhang Xiaobei listened to the county magistrate's report on how to deal with the disaster in time, and looked happy. Why did they catch people as soon as they arrived? No, there was also the damn Wang Wei. They should really throw him into the water and drown him on the way. What was he shouting for? The person who led Wang Wei here complained in his heart, but he didn't dare to move his feet. He admitted that he couldn't run faster than a bullet. He also didn't think that he was better in the water than the protection team. He jumped into the turbulence next to him and escaped. Soon he and the people around him were also caught. Yin Zheng was already drenched from head to toe as he faced Zhang Xiaobei. He was coughing nonstop. While he was being swam over, he was pushed into the water several times and choked half to death. He realized that the murky water was not tasty at all. I greet Inspector Zhang. Yin Zheng coughed hard and felt much better. He then said to Zhang Xiaobei. Zhang Xiaobei put his hands behind his back and paced in front of Yin Zheng. He walked over and suddenly stopped. He stared at Yin Zheng's eyes and said, "You have guts. I admire you. I really admire you. Tell me, in the Tang Empire where the communication is so advanced, in a place so close to Luoyang and the capital, what were you thinking when you gave the order to put thousands of people in the water?" Originally, it was very strange for a child to talk to an adult in a condescending tone. However, Yin Zheng and the people around him didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. It seemed that everything should be like this. The water on Yin Zheng's forehead hadn't finished flowing. When he heard Zhang Xiaobei's words, he began to sweat again. He felt his throat go dry and forcefully swallowed 2 mouthfuls of saliva before opening his mouth to explain. "Inspector Zhang, please listen to this official's explanation. This official has never forgotten the people under my rule. This official came today because I heard that Milord was here and had an important matter to discuss. I hope that Milord can extend a helping hand and transfer supplies to this county. This official will immediately return to the county to direct the disaster relief. Milord, please give this official half a month. No, 10 days. As long as you give this official 10 days, this official will be able to complete the disaster relief." Zhang Xiaobei didn't immediately respond. Instead, she silently looked out the window at the flowing water. This surprised Xiao Yuan. When did Zhang Xiaobei know how to pretend to be deep and profound? Yin Zheng's eyes didn't leave Zhang Xiaobei for even a moment. He was trying to figure out the thoughts of this little girl in front of him. He was still sweating. Not only was his mind uneasy, but the people who had been caught were also extremely nervous. After a long while, Zhang Xiaobei looked away and raised her head to look at Yin Zheng. She felt uncomfortable and stepped on the stool to stand on the table. Only when she was a head taller than Yin Zheng was she satisfied. She said, 10 days? Is 10 days enough? Yin Zheng nodded. Before he could make a promise, Xiaobei continued. "Do you think you can escape from my family's pursuit in 10 days? I don't understand. Where can you run to in 10 days? Or change your face and hide your surname?" "Change your face and hide your surname," Xiao Yuan corrected him. "Understand, Lord Yan. Tell me, where can you run to in 10 days? Xiaobei glared at Xiao Yuan, and then turned to Yin Zheng. Yin Zheng cursed in his heart. Why is this little brat so smart? How does she know that I'm going to run? However, he said, Lord Zhang, this official will not run. This official will face the flood together with the people of Hong Nong. I swear that I will not retreat even if I die. Oh. Xiaobei looked surprised. She maintained her balance and moved her face closer to Yin Zheng. She asked as if she was asking. Then Lord Yan, can you explain to this official? Why are you digging the river bank? This official. Lord, please listen to this official's explanation. Yin Zheng took a deep breath and calmed his mind. He said, At first, this official did not want to destroy the river bank to release the flood. However, there are many shops in Hongnong City and countless valuable items. Also, there are few people and sparse houses in Hongnong City. I was afraid that the flood would destroy the county. Therefore, I endured the pain of digging the river bank to protect the county. This was a helpless action. What nonsense is this? Be more straightforward. It's hard for me to listen. Xiaobei put her hands on her waist. When Yanzheng saw that there was hope, he coughed lightly and said, "When the flood came, I thought of the emperor's heavy responsibility and grace. I thought of my mother's earnest exhortations when I took up the post. I thought of the people's longing gazes and the trust of my colleagues. Therefore, this official did not retreat. According to the flood relief plan of the county, I strictly requested the people in the yamen to cooperate. First, find the disaster in time and report it to the relevant departments in the yamen. It was accurate, timely, and rigorous. Second, combined with the geographical advantage of the county, we took measures such as leakage, dredging, guidance, and assisting in the defense. A series of defense work was completed in the shortest time. Third, we started the emergency disaster response system. We made a comprehensive layout, focused on control, reasonably allocated manpower, material resources, and other resources. We faced the difficulties and were not afraid of difficulties and risks. This showed the organizational ability of the yamen. Fourthly, he called on all officials with official positions to show their own qualities at the moment of disaster. This played a very good role in leading the people in the county to gather around the officials and fight the flood with one heart. Not only did the officials in the yamen do not disappoint the emperor, but even the village heads in the villages also guarded the front line of fighting the flood. Fifth, we arranged for experienced people to observe the weather. After knowing that there will be rain in a short period of time, they showed their subjective initiative. King shut up. Before Yanzheng continued, Xiaobei scolded and even said the word mother. Yanzheng was startled. He didn't know what words had offended Xiaobei, but he obediently stopped talking. Xiaobei took a few deep breaths, then pursed his lips and glared at Yanzheng. He bared his teeth and said angrily, "I've seen shameless people, but I've never seen someone so shameless to the point of being arrogant. According to what you said, I should praise you, shouldn't I? I wouldn't dare. What this official did was what a county head should do. If there are some shortcomings, I should be criticized." Yanzheng quickly followed up. Weiwei's lips curled up as if he was accepting a compliment. Xiaoyuan couldn't stand it anymore. He nudged Xiaobei's leg and said, "Why are you talking nonsense with him? Kill him and be done with it." Yanzheng's pupils shrank. Just as he was about to defend himself, Xiaobei laughed and waved his hand at Xiaoyuan. He said, "Am I the kind of person who kills without teaching?" When Yanzheng breathed a sigh of relief, Xiaobei continued, "Death is a kind of relief for him. If you kill him, can the people who drowned in the flood come back to life? If you kill him, who will bear the loss of the people of Hongnong County? A person who has a cow at home doesn't feel happy about killing someone, but sad about losing the cow. He went easy on the flood to wash the cow away. If I kill him, will that be considered as giving them an explanation? What about the cow? They don't care if he lives or dies. They only want the cow. If I kill him to bear the loss of the people, then it's our incompetence. I want him to live. I want him to know that sometimes death is also a blessing. Tie him up tightly and knock out his teeth. Set up a platform at the south gate of Hongnong County and cover it with a canopy. Tie him up there and let the hospital inject him with glucose. I won't allow him to die. I want to torture him bit by bit. I want him to be exposed to the sun. I want him to be spurned by thousands of people. I want ants to bite him and leeches to sting him. I want him to freeze in the winter. I want a medical team to ensure that he doesn't die. In the future, when a local official is appointed, he will be the first to admire him." As soon as Xiaobei finished speaking, the members of the protection team took action. First, one of them removed Yanzheng's chin. Then, someone took out a pair of pliers from his backpack and stuck them into Yanzheng's mouth. Then they started to pull out his teeth one by one. Yanzheng was already dumbfounded when Xiaobei spoke. He didn't expect this cute and well-behaved girl in front of him to come up with such a ruthless method. At first, he thought that she was joking. It wasn't until his first tooth was pulled out, and the pain that spread throughout his head that he understood that she was serious. Ah! Yanzheng shook his head vigorously, and let out an inhuman scream from his throat. Tears, snot, saliva, and blood flowed down together. Xiao Bei was so scared that she stepped back and waved her hands repeatedly. Take him away. Take him away. Don't let him die from the pain. If it really doesn't work, pull out 2 teeth today and 2 more tomorrow. Feed him porridge first. If he doesn't eat, then inject him with glucose. The members of the protection team immediately dragged Yanzheng away, like they were dragging a dead dog. They didn't know which room to carry out the torture. The classroom suddenly became so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Xiao Bei patted her chest, let out a long breath and said, "The world is quiet now." Wang Wei, who had just been sent to the window, happened to hear Xiao Bei's last words. When he saw such a scene, he trembled in fear and let go of his hand. With a splash, he fell into the water again. He was pulled up again and flipped into the classroom. However, he didn't say a word. He just stared at Xiao Bei with a pale face. In an instant, he understood why so many officials were afraid of being caught by Xiao Bei. She was really ruthless. It seemed that she had inherited devilish cuckoo's personality, and even went one step further. She was green and she was water. She took it from blue and turned it into blue. She was colder than water. Wang Wei took a few deep breaths before he felt better. He muttered, "Killing someone is just a matter of time. Why don't we just give him a quick death? We haven't even sentenced him yet. Why do we have to act first?" Although his voice was soft, it couldn't beat the silence in the room. Xiao Bei heard him clearly. She turned her head and looked at Wang Wei with dissatisfaction. "What sentence? What law? What joint trial? There's no need for any of that. Just because I'm here. Uncle Emperor asked me to be a knife, so I cut him piece by piece. I gave him a quick death. Who gives a quick death to a drowned person who can't breathe and suffocate to death? Who gives a quick death to a sick person who can't be treated? Isn't it? Support me." Xiao Bei's last words were directed at the other 8 people. The 8 children nodded immediately. Xiao Yuan praised, "That's right. Death is not the goal. The goal is to intimidate other officials and not let the people under their rule die easily. Buddha is merciful. There are still 16 arhats and second venerables. Who are you?" After Xiao Yuan supported Xiao Bei, she asked Wang Wei. Wang Wei was blocked and couldn't say anything else. He wrung the water from his clothes and said, "I was temporarily transferred to the Ministry of Works. This time, I was patrolling Hongnong with Li Bai and Li Taibai of the Ministry of Revenue. I was collecting evidence. I didn't expect the county magistrate of Hongnong to be arrested for no reason and lynched by you." "What are you talking about? What do you mean by no reason? We are here for no reason. Are you going to exonerate the sinner Yanzheng?" Xiao Yuan questioned Wang Wei in a righteous manner. Wang Wei was just about to reiterate his reasoning when he suddenly realized something. He couldn't help but shake his head and say, "No, I'm saying that if his crime is confirmed, it will be a crime worthy of the extermination of his family. I hope that you can quickly go to the county and arrest his family." Wang Wei suddenly thought of why Zhang Xiaobei and the other 8 people had come at such a timely time. He didn't think that the emperor was worried about him and Li Bai, but he guessed that the matter of Hongnong was so serious that it was not something he should care about. Moreover, it was very urgent. Otherwise, why would the emperor send the 9 children when there were so many officials in the imperial court, and this place was so close to Luoyang? The 9 children didn't just represent the children themselves. They represented the Zhang family and the Wang family. If the matter was small, why would they be sent? In addition, they were sometimes unreasonable. He couldn't be unlucky. Xiao Bei jumped from the table into the arms of a member of the protection team. His little face fell. He sighed like an adult and said, "No need to catch them. They ran away. They all ran away. Hongnong County has a roast duck restaurant opened by my family. Yesterday, I found an opportunity to sneak out and send a telegram to my brother. My brother just called. He said that he will come in person and is already on the way. He wants us to meet Yanzheng. No matter how he quibbles, we have to catch him first. Yan Zheng just told me that he would be given 10 days. Do you think I'm stupid enough to give him time to run away? How does your family's farmer know? When Wang Wei heard that even Zhang Xiaobao had come, he didn't dare to stop Xiao Bei from dealing with Yan Zheng. However, he couldn't understand how a farmer could know the news. Do you want to share my family's information system? Xiao Hai stared at him. No, what should we do now? Wang Wei repeatedly denied. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.